Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi Otts here. It's Thursday morning. We do the Thursday Think Tank call-in show on Thursdays, and we are looking at another draft prospect possibly to be picked by the Toronto Raptors. And this week, we're looking at St. Joe's Rasheer Fleming. I watched a bit more of Rasheer yesterday. I listened to him in some interviews, and I'm mostly impressed. But I'm going to say this: I don't think we should get him. And the reason why is that he's a project. Like, he's not totally finished, like, as a player. And, he's got some interesting specs and interesting things about him. But if we're picking him, it's either going to be a reach or it's going to be a amazing drop to 39 and we're getting him. Because I just don't see him as a ninth pick. I don't think we could do better at the ninth pick. If we were picking like we were last year in the late teens, I'd be like, this guy is really good. We need to get him at 17. But I don't see him as being a ninth pick. I think that that's a reach. I think that he's not a true center. I think that he's short for his position, but because he has long arms, he makes up for it to an extent. He has like a 7'5" wingspan, which is absolutely crazy. He's got a lot of interesting things about him. Like, he's a very, very talented athlete, but he has some holes in his game also. And, in some ways, there's certain things about him that I'm like, okay, I don't know. This may take a couple of years. His last year at St. Joe's, it's not like he was scoring like crazy. He only averaged like 10 points a game. And even though he's an athletic talent, I don't know. It's a real stretch to get him at 9, and I doubt he's going to be available. He's kind of in that range where Maxime Renault is. That he's too much of a reach at 9, and there's probably no way that he's going to be on the board at 39. And unless the Raptors going to move stuff around. Now, I think he's an interesting player. He's like the first good player to come out of St. Joe's in a long, long, long time. He himself self-proclaims his comparisons in the NBA are Jaden McDaniels and OG Anunoby. And he's like very much saying, who should we think you're like? And he's like, I'm like Jaden McDaniels and OG. I'm like, whoa, okay. And he said it in like a couple different interviews I watched yesterday. So those are the people he's putting himself out as, are defensive forwards with long arms that are very useful defensively. So he's already put himself forth as more of a defensive kind of player than an offensive kind of player, which is fine. He's got an okay outside shot. He's not got any post moves. He's good in the open floor on transition and finishing, but he's not good in half court set, attacking the basket. So there's some real offensive holes with Rasheer Fleming, even though he's a fantastic athlete, maybe one of the best athletes in this draft, and he's got an insane wingspan. They compared his body type, and this is another interesting thing. They said that his body type is very similar to Siakam's, that he has about the same height and arm length as Siakam. So that's some interesting comparisons. He compares himself to OG, and his body dimensions are very similar to Siakam. I think he seems like a nice young man. He's very well spoken. He seems very intelligent. In fact, I could hear him talking to Scott on the team, and the conversations they would have, would be very fruitful. I discovered that he's a Clutch client yesterday, which is not totally attractive, but not totally we can't have you here, especially since Shamshay's Clutch, Brandon Ingram is Clutch, Common would be Clutch if he was somehow drafted by the Raptors, and Rasheer Fleming's Clutch also. And Clutch can be a factor, we know, here in Toronto for not being totally attractive. But then again, also Masai has been successfully, negotiating with Clutch also in different places. For instance, the Brandon Ingram extension done earlier this year. So I think he's a good player. If he somehow was on the Raptors all of a sudden, I'd be delighted because he does have a lot of potential. He's a good project. I still look at him as a project, though. And I just don't think he's going to fall anywhere near us. I do not want them to draft him at 9. I do not think he's good enough to be the 9th pick. And I just don't think he's going to be there. Now, Stargate, I know, is high on Fleming, very, very high on Fleming. And it is the Thursday Think Tank Collins show. So I would like Stargate to call me today if he's watching and give a good case for why we should get Rasheer Fleming. Because in some ways, I'm kind of going over why the good and bad with him, and I want to hear what your perspective is. In some ways, I want to hear what you have to say, Stargate. If you show up, I'll ask you to call me if you can. So yeah, let's get into the chat. We'll start with Trevor J, of course. You cannot see your reflection in boiling water. Similarly, you cannot see the truth in the state of anger. When water calms, clarity comes. I like this analogy. It makes a lot of sense. You know, when you see red, that's not the time to make any long-term decisions. No, it's not. It definitely is. Go to the Buddhist monk like Wemby and start meditating and get yourself centered and back on track mentally. Yeah, I can get behind all that. I can get behind all that. Thank you for the words of wisdom, Commissioner Jay. And we've got well, I won't talk about it just yet. There's something that just came in the mail, and I'm going to be putting it. We'll see it soon. We'll see it soon when the Larry O'Brien uh, comes. That's right. Let's see. Trevor's also saying Indiana put the smackdown on OKC. Yes, and I filmed a third reaction clip with To the Point, Brian, and I'm uploading it currently on YouTube right now to this channel. It should come up in about the next 5 or 10 minutes while I'm doing the stream. I'm experimenting with uploading a clip that I made last night with Brian. It's about a half an hour. Great reaction video to Game 3. A lot of good opinions by both King and myself on there. It's a must watch. If you've been watching our game reactions so far, well, they're evolving, and this one is really. I enjoyed the one last night. It was a lot of fun. We were a little goofy. I'll say this: there was a little bit more Raptor Freak content on the To the Point Raptor Freak collaboration last night. Let's just say I started singing, and in some ways, I've tried to be more polished on his channel before when we do the collabs. But yeah, it's a must watch. It should appear on this channel soon. If you don't see it here, well, you can see it on his channel. We're both posting them up. So yeah, Game 3 reaction on there. I hope y'all will check it out. We will talk about Game 3 here too. And I'll probably say some of the things that I've said on the reaction from last night. Yeah. Trevor's saying everyone's laughing at the Knicks for getting rejected by 5 coaches. You know, I was laughing at them first. As soon as they fired him, I started laughing because I knew what they did was stupid. And Charles Barkley most eloquently explained why it was stupid what they did last night on the broadcast. He said basically this, and I'm going to do his impression. It's all with love and respect towards Charles. I don't understand why the Knicks would fire their best coach in 25 years without a plan after him. He's exactly right. And that's what they did. They fired Coach Thibodeau just out of anger and retaliation for failure. They didn't have any idea of who they would have to replace him, obviously. No idea of anything. Like, it's usually if you're going to fire a very successful, high profile coach like this, you have some designs on who will be their successor. In fact, sometimes you'll get rid of a successful coach because there's somebody else that you really want to bring in right after them. So often when these firings happen, there's usually somebody announced that within the next couple of days as the new coach, but that's not the case with the Knicks. The Knicks fired their most successful coach in 25 years without any kind of backup plan afterwards. And Charles, he hit the nail on the head. That's stupid. That is dumb as. And the man, Thibodeau, put out an ad in the New York paper thanking the fans, the players, the media, the organization, saying, you guys helped fulfill my dreams as a child to coach the New York Knicks. I've been from New York all my life, and I always dreamed about doing this job. It's got to be tough for him. He reached for the sun. He almost grabbed the sun, but his hand got burned, and he fell from the sky like Icarus. You know, it's got to be tough for him because he's so close, and they don't have no patience that they can't run it back with him next year. Oh, my gosh, New York, what did you do? What did you do? This genie can't go back in the bottle now. You already fired him. And well, I mean, is this fire's remorse? Fire's remorse instead of buyer's remorse? That's what it sounds like to me. Fire's remorse. But yeah, Barkley's exactly right. Why would you do that? I understand the Raptors fired Nick Nurse, but we had to because that situation was very, very toxic. And we took about 3 months to find our next coach, Coach Darko. But this is different, man. This is different. We didn't make the playoffs that year, and we needed to fire our coach. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals for like the first time in forever, and they fired the coach. And they don't have anybody suitable lined up afterwards. In fact, I don't think anybody's lining up for this job at all. I think that this is a thankless job, and everybody can see what I can see right now is that the next person is going to be much like in a dating scenario where you dated somebody long term and you love them so much. The next person you're going to see is going to be a rebound and somebody that's not going to last. And that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a rebound coach for the Knicks. But the thing is, they're very much in danger of getting in a coaching carousel. And I've talked about coaching carousels in the past and how the Raptors need to avoid that. You know, the fact that the Suns have fired their coach every year for the last 3 years, there's different teams that have gone through coaches like underwear. And you don't want to do that, man. It's really disruptive and toxic for your team, and you're not really getting anywhere. So it was really smart that Bobby and Masai vetted the coaches that they talked to and really picked the best one in Rojakovic. Because, you know, the Raptors history, there's only 10 coaches in the 30 years. And that's really, really good. You don't want to have a lot of coaches in your history. And the Knicks are in danger of having a coaching carousel for the next 10 years. Not even like for just the next year or so. I could see them having to cycle through coaches to find another one like Thibodeau for like the next 10 years and firing like 4 or 5 coaches within the next 10 years. I could see this happening right now, right? And you know how I am with predictions. So I'm just going to say coaching carousel is on the way to the Knicks because the next guy who takes the job, the guy who's going to be coaching the Knicks next year will fail. And he will probably get fired at the end of the year, if not the second year that he coaches them. So, yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah, let's see. Trevor's saying when you talk about how bad front office is now, they're begging Tom, Dick, and Harry. Yeah, listen. It's not that they're begging anybody. They're being egotistical and thinking that they can talk to anyone and try and lure other coaches from other teams. Chris Finch has had the most success in history of the Timberwolves franchise, and Chris Finch ain't going nowhere. You know, the Mavericks have already been torn apart because of Luka trade and all kinds of crazy stuff. Jason Kidd is one of the assets that they really smile upon. They don't want him going anywhere. You know, why would you even step up to this? It's kind of like stepping up to a married woman and say, I'm taking you home tonight. And they're like, nah, my husband's here. I'm going home with them. Like, that's what the Knicks energy is right now. It's like some skeevy guy at a cocktail party asking married women to go home with him. How pathetic. I mean, that's really what the energy is because they're married already. They got teams that they coach. And there you are, Leon Rose, looking all trollish. You sure you don't want to come with me, Jason? It's really nice in New York. No and no. And my situation ain't that great either, but I can tell going to New York ain't the right decision. That's right. It's just like that, man. Trevor's also saying, why are they trying to give us number 9 pick Carter Bryant emerges? Is there somewhere saying Carter Bryant emerges as the 9th pick for the Raptors? Well, they're going to throw all the different names in there. Noah, Colin Murray Boyles, Derek Queen. It is. You know, Carter Bryant isn't a horrible one, though. If you're going to look at the different guys that they may put at 9, he's somebody that kind of makes sense in some ways for the Raptors. And he's not a bad player. In fact, I might exchange Noah Esenge off my recommended 10 list for Masai and Bobby to draft and put in Carter Bryant because he's not on my list right now. But I've watched him a few times. I really like his length. I really like his athleticism. And I think that he, in some ways, will fit some of the stuff we're trying to get for this year. Now, I will say, going back to Rasheer Fleming, he does provide some of the things we want for a big man at a 4, not as a true 5, but there are things that he can do, especially shot blocking, that would be very beneficial to the Raptors. The crazy thing about this guy is, and as he said in his interview, it's not that I'm trying to let them get by me, but if they get by me, I can still catch up to them and block the shot because I have this crazy wingspan. And there's some interesting things about that. In some ways, I'd say his body type and the way he is very similar to Scotty and Jonathan, and that in the strength and stuff. So, yeah, here we go. All right, we got the call coming in here, and we got Stargate on the air. He's going to tell me all about Rasheer Fleming today. Good day to you, sir. Stargate, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm mostly good. Yesterday sucked, man. I had a really bad day yesterday, and I'm going to say it didn't get any better. But we'll go ahead and we'll focus on Rasheer Fleming right now. And I want to know what you see specifically. Plead your case for why we should get Rasheer.
It's not really his offense. His offense, yes, it does need a little bit of development.
Mm-hmm.
It's his defense that I'm looking at, right?
Yeah.
We need defense. I mean, we have enough offensive players. We can work on his offense.
Yeah.
Right. That's something that we can work on. But it's his defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't teach defense, really. You either have it or you don't.
You can't teach that wingspan, that's for sure.
No, you can't. Yeah, that's basically what I'm looking. Yes, you're absolutely right about some of his offensive skill sets.
Yeah.
They do leave much to be desired. He is a freaky athlete.
Yeah.
Right? He's kind of like, he reminds me a little bit of when Giannis first came in with the athleticism.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
But it's his defense, right?
For sure.
He can guard multiple positions. I don't really see him as a center. I see him more as a forward.
Yeah.
I see him coming off the bench as a backup to like Scotty or something like that. Not as a center.
He may be more like in the minutes like Mobo last year.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? To me, I think he has a better upside than Mobo.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, I just
he has more bounce, I think, than Jonathan does. He has more bounce.
Right, and like you said, he's like a very intelligent kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I like though is that he spent 3 years in college.
That's a great point.
You don't see that very often.
Yeah.
You see one and done players.
Yeah.
Right? That's one of the things I looked at first.
And he is an older player too. Like he's coming in. Right. He's not a teenager. He's already a 20-year-old. And yeah, those are pluses. I will agree that those are pluses. I think you're right. He can be very helpful. Like that's what I'm saying. Why he would still fit some of the positional needs we need right now, because really we do need more rebounders and more defense down around the basket. Even if he's not a true center height, that wingspan is really, really good for blocking shots. And that would be really attractive to have on the team, especially because he has good timing and good recovery. And yeah. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, so I'm only looking at him as if Ethan Noel is not available. Right?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it as a third option.
Yeah.
Conan and Asa. That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying pick him at that thing because I really don't want any wings.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, if push comes to shove, maybe a high-end point guard. The Jeremiah Fears is the only one I see really at that, at that position, around that position there.
What about Demon? Like as far as like a 6'9" kind of ball handler? No, you don't like that? No.
I'm not feeling it. Probably Casper. Probably.
As far as a big guy, that's a big point guard.
Yeah. Probably Casper, because I think Casper is a better. He looks more of a traditional, point guard, a big point guard, right?
Right.
Like he passes better. He's not very good offensively, and his defense does leave a lot to be desired. But he's a great playmaker, high basketball IQ, right? Very, very smart, right? I think that's one of the things that I like about Casper, right?
Right.
He's going to run the team. Right, that's what he's gonna do. And as a big guy like a Penny Hardaway, Steve,
right,
Steve Smith type point guard, right? He's gonna come in and he's gonna run your team. He's gonna manage your team. But like I said, his defense and his offense, right, he can't really shoot.
let me ask you something real quick, Stargate. If Trey Johnson is available at 9, do you take him as the Raptors? No. Okay. I've heard the Spurs are even talking about taking him at 3 and kicking the Rutgers guys out of the top 3. One of them.
I know he's not going top 3. I know he's not.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. Like there's some overtures that Philadelphia might take Malawach at the second pick.
Yeah, I heard that. And if they really want to, like I said in the chat and in discourse, knowing Philadelphia and their historical track record.
Yeah.
Don't be shocked if they take Derek Queen and fumble that back.
Right? Yeah. Match made in heaven.
Don't be surprised, guys.
That'd be awesome, man.
Also, don't be surprised if Dallas doesn't pick Cooper and goes to somebody else.
I don't know about that, though. I don't know about that. I think that if you get granted that, you got to pick them, even if you have to move them right away, or you trade the pick before the draft.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But you have to get Cooper. I don't think there's any other choice. If they did that, they really want to fire Nico, man.
Yeah, I'm looking over at some of the Dallas faces and stuff, and they're already saying that they're going to trade the pick. Like a lot of Dallas fans are saying, you know.
Wow.
They think that they're going to trade the pick. If you go over there, just go look.
So it may be very similar to like us with Derek Queen. It's like, okay, we're seeing that maybe the tea leaves are telling us that this guy may not want to be here. And maybe some of the Mavs fans are like, we can't have this guy come here and be this guy if he's really not going to be here, invested to be here as a franchise player. Because like I said, if that guy wants to be an East Coast player, Cooper Flagg, he'll find his way away from the Mavericks at some point. And we think he's going to go to Boston if he's going to go anywhere because of his ties to Maine and his family being completely Celtics nation. So it's like,
yeah, what kind of, you know, kind of solidified it for me is that because I saw a report the other day saying the Dallas management is going to meet with Cooper Flagg, you know, and they're having a meeting, a secret meeting. I think they said secret meeting with Cooper Flagg. Why would it be a secret meeting?
Yeah.
Why those words? Why secret meeting?
Yeah.
Because obviously there's something there. They've heard something and they want to make sure, hey, you really want to be here?
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, that's really good Winders thing you're doing right there. It's like, wait a second. Why would they do that if like it's like they don't even always meet with first round players sometimes because they just know, like, you know, they just know. And then not only that, they're doing a workout for him too. Like, I believe they just did it like in the last day or so where he comes in and he's actually like working out for them. And, you know, if they were confident and it was such a slam dunk, all consensus #1 pick, like everybody's been saying, you know, there seems to be a lot of vetting before the draft here.
Yeah, but here's my conspiracy theory with that.
Okay.
I think they did that because that's not normal for a #1 pick for the #1 pick. I think they did that so that if they do trade him, right, and they'll say, oh well, I mean, we saw something during the workout that just didn't fit, you know, like kind of justifying it.
Yeah,
right? So
I can see that.
bad, right? So I mean, it's everything surrounding that is weird. A secret meeting and then working it out, and that's kind of weird to me.
I feel like the Dallas core is a veteran. Like right now, I mean, you got Davis, you got Klay Thompson, you got Kyrie for now, and you know, Cooper's timeline doesn't really go with that. So in some ways, it does make sense for the Mavericks to dangle Cooper and go get somebody like Kevin or Giannis. Well, Giannis is off the table now, but you know, go get somebody that's like disgruntled, and you know, maybe they even go trade the #1 pick to New Orleans for Zion Williamson or something like that. I don't know.
Ouch.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Who would you pick? If let's say by some strange reason, Jason Will is not available at 9 anymore.
And Common isn't either.
Your third. Yeah, who would be your third option?
Oh man, this is tough. You're putting me on the spot, but you know what? In this case, I may very strongly look at Carter Bryant. I might, you know, I really like the other French guy more than Noah. I like Joan. I do like Joan, and I feel like Joan is a real center. In some ways, he's got to fill out a little bit more, but he's definitely like Asa, where he's got Claxton-esque kind of qualities, and And he would be a little bit more of a fill out, and he's not as proven because, like Noah, he's got most of his highlights against the EuroLeague players, the younger players over there. And I feel like that's not a good gauge for just how good they are. But the frame and the size of Joan Berenguer is very attractive, and the possibilities with him. So I feel like in some ways he's like French Asa Newell. So maybe I would be like going towards Berenguer at 9 then, because I really do want to get a guy who can be a legitimate 5 for the Raptors this year. I really, really do. And but Fleming, if Masai picked Fleming, I'd be like, wow, they must really like Rasheer then.
Yeah. But are you of the opinion that it would be beneficial for the Raptors to pick another wing player because of the logjam that's there? Are you? I mean, I think they should.
I think they shouldn't too, and I think that in some ways it's partly because the team has a really good, solid chemistry among it right now, and sometimes you add a little bit more competition in there. There's already competition on this team out the wazoo as far as things, and if you add in a new rookie who's kind of unknown, and maybe they're kind of really talented and kind of an upstart, there's something like, all right, let's look at when we drafted Jacoby last year. Jacoby is very kind of in the same position as Grady, Oshai, RJ. A lot of people are already on the team. Now, Jacoby is an amazing young man who's able to be humble and work hard and kind of wait for his turn. There may be some young men that are more braggadocio and kind of like, I'm ready to come get this right now. But in some ways, Walter is really respectful of, the tenure of each player and how long they've been on the NBA and then on the team. And I feel like he's respecting it well from being a rookie last year. Now, when you draft another wing and you bring in a guy, you really have to psychoanalyze them. Are they going to be like a Walter? Or are they going to come in and rock the boat and maybe cause waves and dissension and chaos on your team in some ways that you didn't even expect? So that's why I recommend not drafting in that position anymore, because I've seen so many times in the history of the NBA, teams draft for best potential player or best talent, and they screw themselves up because they cause a positional battle on their team coming forward where it really messes it up. And a really good example is New York once again, when they drafted Rod Strickland immediately after Mark Jackson. Yeah. And I just think that that's asinine drafting. That, like, if you're going to build a team, you don't duplicate one spot each year on one position. You really want to try and round it out. And it's totally true. And the press has seen it too. We got a glut of wings on our team, and that competition is solid. Grady and Oshai and Jacoby, no, they got to get better if they want to get more minutes away from Brandon and RJ this year. So you add another name into that list. I mean, think about the talent we have at that position already. It's not necessary. So it really is a 5 or a 1 that I'm looking at the ends of the lineup that are more important. 5 very much needed and very much vulnerable on the Raptors roster. So,
well, for me, I think, Brandon, I don't even put Brandon and RJ in it. They're the starters.
Yeah.
Right? I'm looking at the other guys are all fighting to get the minutes off the bench, the
rotation.
So
yeah,
it's Ochai, it's Grady, it's Jacoby, it's Jameson Battle, and then of course you have the 2 guys from the 905, right?
Yeah, Lawson and Roden.
That's 7 people, right?
It's a lot.
7 or 6. Yeah. And you're gonna bring in one other guy? Like, come on,
Yeah. So and I can see Darko using these different guys on different nights for their trades. Like Grady obviously has some strengths. Oshai has some very good defensive strengths in certain ways. It'll be interesting to see how he mixes and matches players. And it may be that some guys are semi-rotation. They're not going to necessarily play a lot of minutes some nights because we're healthy, and God willing, we will be. And we got options for look at Indiana. They've got guys that are hurt right now, like Jarace Walker and a couple of guys that are at the end of the bench that aren't getting to play at all during these playoffs. And but they were, during the season, they were good spot duty for different times for different things. And we're gonna have to figure out the pecking order on our team where that would fall. And unfortunately, guys like Shed, Walter, Mobo, and Battle, they may get less minutes this year because we're healthier, and we have different players that have come in, and they may need to be relegated a little bit as far as their time on the court. And that means they have to be even more quality when they're on the court, when they get their time called. So,
and my last point is I believe, and I said this in discourse, I believe they're going to fast track Aldridge.
yeah.
I just have a feeling he's going to be in the rotation next season.
Yeah.
The main rotation.
I hope so. I hope so.
Right.
I mean, he would help. Like, you know, and this may be a sign of that is the plan. When we get to the draft, Stargate, I could see if Masai drafts best talent, like we've been just talking about, and he disregards the center position in this draft, I'm gonna be like, okay, maybe they do really trust Shamshay coming up next, and that you know, he's healthy and he's putting in the work this summer, and they have big plans for him to kind of be more involved on the NBA level this year. So yeah,
I mean it's obvious that Yap has taken him under his wing. He talks to him a lot. You can see that there's some teaching moments there with Aldridge and Yap. So you know, who knows? You know, he's saying that, hey, this kid is, I'm gonna take this guy as my understudy or my protege, and you know, it could be. Right?
Yeah, he's getting good learning from a lot of different people. Yeah. Shamshay's an interesting possibility for this year. We'll have to see the leaps and bounds he makes this summer. And of course, we'll get windows into it at Summer League and in training camp and preseason. And who knows? Maybe Blake Murphy or Lewinberg or Grange will be tweeting something near the end of the summer saying, Rick Shamshay has made huge leaps this summer and this way. And we can fully expect him to be more part of the rotation for the regular Raptors. You know, it could be interesting. Although I kind of still want to season him down on 905 for another season more. And that maybe we can make the counter argument to what you're saying is that's maybe rushing him. And we need to maybe let him have the baby steps. And, you know, because he was robbed of half his year being injured, he might need a little bit more. Maybe it's the kind of thing like this, Stargate, where he did half a year on 905 last year. Maybe the first part of the year, he's very, very much on 905. And then the second half of the season, which would have probably been planned for this rookie year he had just now, he's way more prominently on the Raptors in the second half of the season. Maybe when Chris Boucher's played 50 games.
that could be a plan.
Oh, man.
That could be a plan.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you calling, man. Anything last that you want to add at the end here?
No, I think I've said everything.
Awesome.
Go Raptors.
Yeah, go Raptors. And I mean, listen, everything we're talking about here is solid and positive and awesome. And I love it, man. And I appreciate your insight. I really respect it. And I appreciate, you putting more emphasis on Rasheer so that we do the stream today on him and really investigate the St. Joe's product. I think it's really interesting. He's like the only player from St. Joe's in like a long time that's even been on the radar with the NBA. Yeah. So, all right, Stargate, I hope you have a fantastic Thursday, man. And let's go Raptors, baby. All right.
Thanks for taking my call. Have a good one.
Yeah, no problem, man. Call anytime. Seriously. You know, I'm actually considering making this show call in anytime to specific people, especially Raptor Freak members that have been following the channel for a long time, like Stargate. Because, you know, if the phone rings while I'm on the air, I have the intention to answer it, even if I'm not on a Thursday Think Tank. So I don't know. Maybe secretly I will answer the phone, even if I'm not on a Thursday show, just so y'all know. Yeah, let's see what else you guys are saying. Smooth's got sad news. And in some ways, man, I don't want this sad, depressing news right now. I've got way too much sad, depressing news in my personal life right now that in some ways this makes me really sad to hear this. But in some ways, I want to tell you guys, I'm trying to use this stream as an escape from the politics of the U.S., from the destruction and the degradation of climate change and the laws that are getting taken away that protect our environment. I've got a lot of heavy stuff on my head. And this is really sad, Reggie. He's dropping this on me right now. Air India crashed this morning. All 242 souls passed on. More injury and death on the ground. It crashed into buildings. God rest their soul. That's awful, man. That is awful. I know that there's been air crash problems in that area of the world sometimes from time to time, big tragedies. But the last big air crash that was Air India was in the ocean. This is horrible that this happened into a building, man. Oh my gosh, Reggie, you're bumming me out, man. God rest her soul, and I have so much sympathy and sadness and feelings for the people that have been touched by this tragedy in bad ways. I hate this so much, man. Let me just move on respectfully. And yeah, please, guys, I'm trying to stay happy in my life, and I'm having really hard times right now because there's a lot of dark shit in my life right now. So just so y'all know. Anyway, let's keep going. Trevor J saying Paige Buckers, 35 points, did not miss at all. Winner Sparks over Aces, and Phoenix beat Dallas, and Seattle beat Minnesota. Yeah, WNBA action last night. Some good stuff. Yeah, that Dallas rookie came out and had her big debut. Like, this is the first big game that Paige has had. And yeah, Dallas was loving it. There's so many people coming to WNBA games this season. It's awesome to see all the celebrities, all the NBA players, and all the love and the support for the WNBA this season is just growing and growing and growing. And it's fantastic, man. Yeah, in our fantasy league, we've got an update on the scores right now. I have taken the lead over James. Fiercey is beating MK still, which is fantastic. It's crazy. This is really good, Fiercey. If you beat Meredith, that's a real feather in your cap because Meredith is really tough to beat. Cass has got a good lead on Kareem right now. JP is beating Logical Raptors Fanatic. You better wake up, Mike. And Cool Cat has the lead still, about 70 points over We the Best Race Mode Daily Edmund. So yeah, this is a weird day, guys. There's no NBA Finals game. There's no G League games, and there's no WNBA games today. So this is one of the weird days of the year where there's absolutely no basketball at all between the NBA and the WNBA. So no referee report for you tonight because there's no WNBA games and there's no NBA games. So yeah, it's one of those rare days where there's none of that. I guess they're having Stanley Cup Finals game, another one tonight, and I hope and pray that Edmonton can even up the series. It's really was a bad game, the last game in the Stanley Cup Finals. But go Edmonton Oilers. We're rooting for you, unless you're Seymour Pape, who's a Calgary Flames fan. Trevor saying he likes what Ron Harper said about the NBA players. This is a really interesting interview that Ron Harper Sr. did recently, and I totally agree with him. I allude to this on the collaborative video that we shot last night, To the Point and Raptor Freak reaction to Game 3. And I think he's exactly right. But yeah, let's see who we got on the phone now, man. Let's see what's going on. Oh, it just stopped. If you call her, you can call me back. I don't know why the phone just dropped, but you can call me back. Feel free to. Let's see. Ron Harper Sr., who has a son who's just about to come into the draft, Dylan Harper. And he also has a son that's been involved in the NBA, of course, the two-way for the Raptors before Ron Harper Jr. In some ways, he can understand the old NBA from playing in it and coaching in it. And now he can understand the new NBA through his sons and their own experience. And Ron Harper Sr. has come out and said that there's a lot of players that are only me. And that the whole idea of team and team concept is out the window with a lot of young men in this league. And well, one of the things I said on the reaction last night is if you look at the two teams that are in the finals right now, these are teams that aren't so me. In fact, you could say that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, as the MVP of the NBA and the top player, the leading scorer, is one of the most unselfish players, even though he takes most of the shots and stuff like that, because it's the mentality. It's the way he plays as a leader on that team is very unselfish and very giving to everybody else to make them better off of him. But there are a lot of players in this league that are more like Bradley Beal, and they are not about team concept. They're about getting their bag themselves and looking good themselves and making their brand be up. And that's basically what Ron Harper Sr. is saying, is that there's a lot of players in this league that are doing it for the wrong reasons. And the wrong reasons are self-promotion, ego, and yourself, and really superseding over team success and winning. Ron Harper Sr. had a very interesting career when he played in the NBA. When he was younger, he played for Cavaliers, and he averaged 25 points a game. He was one of the leading scorers in the Eastern Conference on the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 80s. But then injuries hit him, and he couldn't play at a certain level, certain athleticism in the air, and he became more of a role player. And he moved on to the Bulls. And he started in the backcourt with Michael Jordan on some championship teams as the defensive guard and defensive foil to Michael Jordan. And he had limitations to his body at that point, that he couldn't do what he used to be able to do when he played for the Clippers and the Cavs. So in some ways, he adjusted to be more of a team player than a franchise player. And in some ways, he's the epitome of showing like you do what you do to help the team. And that's why he's saying this, because he understands it intrinsically himself. All right, we got the next call coming in here, guys. All right, y'all, here's our next caller today. Caller, you're on the air on the Raptor Freak Call-In Show. Who is this?
What's up, Lex?
What's up, man? You know what? Listen, I want to apologize, first of all, for losing my cool yesterday. I know. It's Blackhawk, guys. And I know that him and I got in a little thing about Ed Rogers yesterday. And I'm like, this is so stupid. We're fighting about oligarchs, as he said. And you're exactly right. They're oligarchs. And why would we don't need to divide over oligarchs. No, we don't. I love you, Neil. And I appreciate you calling. So what's on your mind, my guy?
Oh, man. Well, we seen everything. Last night was a good game.
Yeah.
You know what? I wanted to go 7 games, to be honest.
Yes.
Go 7. That'll be good. I'm enjoying what we're seeing out there. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
You're talking about the ratings and stuff. Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like them both.
So you don't care who wins.
Three Canadians on the Pacers and 2 Canadians on OKC, and Pascal's my honorary Canadian.
Of course. I knew you were counting him when you said 3. I was like, yeah, it's not TJ McConnell.
But if he wants to be, he can.
Oh, you're going to give him honorary. I mean, that inbound steal was so solid. I mean, he just reached up and grabbed it from Caruso, throwing it in, and just put the basket in right away. It was so fast.
And the energy.
Yeah.
He had that energy last night.
Yeah, those guys were really good.
Like a bumblebee.
Yeah.
It was just stealing him right out of their hands.
It's kind of weird seeing his dad on the sidelines with the beer, watching the game. He's like so proud.
But his grandfather was there. So
was that his grandfather? I thought that was his dad, man.
The one in the wheelchair.
Oh, I didn't see the guy in the wheelchair. That was his grandfather. Wow.
They did a little film. In from the locker room where he goes, he likes Siakam, right?
Awesome.
But he didn't call him Siakam. He calls him
Shockham. Yes. Well, let's talk about the game last night. Other than McConnell off the bench, there were quite a few good contributions for the Pacers in their rotation last night. Oh my gosh.
Well, even if they didn't put up points, because I like what Neesmith was doing too. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
I like what Nemhard was doing too.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone can't put a point. So I mean, when you get a mixture of defense and offense,
yeah,
that's gonna put it in your favor, because somebody has to do the dirty work.
Yes.
And who did some dirty work, which is long overdue, was Miles Turner.
Yes, that block on Chet. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he was manhandling.
Yeah.
Chet, and it was long overdue.
Yeah. Yeah, he got exposed last night to a degree. I say this on the reaction To the Point that Chet got exposed as not a legitimate big last night. He has all these great skills, and he's a unicorn.
He's a KD.
But he's a wing. He's not a big. And if you're going to miss boxing out Siakam,
he hasn't really put on any muscles, right? From Chet came in, Chet is what? This is his second year?
He doesn't hold any space, is what it is.
Yeah, but he hasn't put on any, and he hasn't really done any weight training or anything like that, right?
I can see a little bit of muscle on him.
Yeah, not really. He hasn't really grown.
But he got pushed around a lot, and you're right. Yeah. He got manhandled by Miles Turner last night, and I love that the Pacers went into that ultra physical playoff mode to show, look, young Thunder, y'all may be the best team in the league record-wise, but you got to remember, this is the finals, and this is serious man's business, and we're going to toss you around. And the thing I noticed is that in some ways the Pacers defense leveled up in the fourth quarter, because what happened is they held the Thunder to 18 points in the fourth quarter when they were trying to come back. And we got to say, how often this whole entire season did the Thunder have an under 20-point frame in any quarter this year?
There you go.
And in the fourth quarter last night, the Pacers defense was able to hold them to 18 when they were trying to rally and get over them. That's a huge, impressive thing to me, because like I said last night on the reaction, if you watch it after this, When we saw the Pacers earlier in the season, I did not think they were a very good defensive team. And in fact, we got into a little bit with I got into it with Cool Cat about whether they were a good defensive team in the middle of the season. She's like, no, you're not seeing it, Lex. And I have to admit, she was exactly right, because she's watching them closely as a number one Pascal fan. And once again, gotta give credit to Cool Cat that she was exactly right about this defense was a work in progress. And boy, are they leveling up still. I feel like they leveled up from the third quarters into the fourth quarter to a whole other level of defensive intensity, maybe fed a bit by the home crowd in Indiana. But this was a huge key to how they brought it home in this game.
Look at Therese has definitely stepped up this game defense-wise.
It's weird. He's like the window dressing. He's kind of like the extra icing around the edge of the cake, because in some ways he's not doing the meat of the carrying. It's still Siakam and other guys, but he'll pop in a three every once in a while, you know? Yeah.
So Siakam could provide you the stability that they need as being a young team.
Yeah. They started off with him. He was the guy they started the game with right away, and they were really, once again, making the Thunder pay for starting a small lineup. And, you know, you go and start Cason Wallace instead of Isaiah Hartenstein. Well, Siakam's numbers coming up first, 43 down, taking the post to whoever's on him, because it's a mismatch. And there was another thing that happened later in the game, which was awesome. Siakam did you guys notice in the fourth quarter that they put Siakam on SGA?
Yeah.
That, like, when it was time for SGA to start get powerful and try and will Oklahoma City back, they switched and they said, Siakam, you're going to guard him now. And that was a great switch by Carlisle, because we know Siakam is such a lengthy defender. And he really stymied him. And there was two possessions where he was guarding SGA. He stopped him. And then he went down the other end, and SGA was posted up by him, and he scored on SGA. And I was like, well, that means Siakam's better than the MVP of the league, because he just beat him in competitive at the one end and the other end.
It's MVP versus MVP.
That's right, baby. Eastern Conference.
East versus West.
That's right. So I'm really proud of Siakam, man, for sure.
Really, really. And as I said, I mean, I can't, for me, it doesn't matter which one wins. I'm enjoying them both.
Mm-hmm.
I like them both.
And that's why we want 7 games.
Yeah, I want 7 games.
Yeah.
I think it's only fair. And I like the way the game is going right now, because I don't speak in the terms of what many speak of, or like, oh, you earn your wins.
Yeah.
Earn it. You don't.
Yeah.
It's not given. Like
no.
I don't want to predict this thing and say that oh, this is the Thunder's because no. You want this, you go out there and earn it.
I think that the Thunder are the best team, and they're the best team in the season, but the Pacers are a team of destiny. And they're similar to kind of like the Raptors in 2019. There's something about them that's just making me feel like these guys might just win this thing.
Well, they got Siakam.
That's part of it. That may be the common denominator right there.
Because I'm going to say this, it's not going to seem nice about Miles, but he should be doing more. As the big man, he should be doing more. So the fact that they pull it out is because they have that consistency from Siakam, because he's been there to bail them out when the Pacers have not been generating enough.
Yeah.
So you got to look at that. Siakam is the safety.
Just like with the Raptors in years past, when the offense is having a little sputter, he's the guy that gets the ball in his hands, because he will find the ball.
I feel differently about Siakam this year, because it's like his experience is finally leveling up, and he understands his experience now versus his how would you say it? He was very energetic and youthful before.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't feel like that energetic youthfulness. It now feels like experience.
I feel like he's in that prime of his career where the athletic skills are still very strong and going up. And you're right. He's at a different level of awareness and intellectual play on the court, because I see him telegraphing so much these days. Like in these games, I see there's a loose ball. Well, who's going to probably go get it first is Siakam, because he's not lazy. He will run down that ball. And there's a lot of telegraphing. And I really got to give up, once again, a lot of credit to Coach Carlisle and his system and the way they all work in it with each other. and the kind of the shuffle of who gets the ball and how they try and find open shots. It's very similar to the Raptors system, but this really works well with Siakam in this way. So I want to stand up for Miles because
I like the point you bring up about Coach Carlisle, because I do believe that if you're gonna do coach versus coach, Carlisle is coming out on top.
Yeah, experience is really mattering in this series because the people that are doing the best, Coach Carlisle, Pascal Siakam, TJ McConnell, these are people that have been through stuff already and have a certain resume. Even Caruso on the other side, I mean, he has a certain level of experience in doing what he does. And sometimes the whole Thunder team does show their age and their lack of experience to a certain degree, specifically Chet, honestly. Because, look, this is the bit where the big boys play. You're going to get tossed around like a rag doll. And, I want to stand up for Miles just a little bit because I've been super impressed with him in some ways. I feel like he did exactly what you said earlier. He brought a physicality last night that absolutely threw the Thunder off in certain ways. And once again, Mark Dagnall, what are you doing? You're not playing Hartenstein with Holmgren. And in some ways, realize when you're playing Holmgren out there with a bunch of guards, you are playing centerless. Is what I'm saying here. So, my dad was noticing last night that he thinks Siakam was the tallest player on the court at a certain point. I was like, well, Chet's technically a little.
Because if you can play this team when Miles is down, you're using Siakam instead of bringing on, I think his name is Tony Bradley.
Well, they got Thomas Bryant, and then, they kind of.
No, forget about Bryant. I'm going to say, nobody's going to like me for saying this right now, but Bryant is a defensive liability out there. And I praise the coach because he knows whenever he's like that, he pulls him out.
Yeah. So he didn't get a lot of minutes last night. He got 4 minutes, I think.
Yeah, because as soon as he's out there, he makes some mistakes, and you got to look at it. Look, this is the same.
Well, what about Obi?
With Boucher. Obi makes mistakes, but he's got the energy.
Now, but he's playing kind of 5 and 4 too at times. So
I would give you Obi. Pascal are making up for when Miles is not on the floor.
I mean, they don't really have a true center, honestly. Miles Turner, years ago, he used to be a 4, early in his Pacer career. It's like he's just become a stretch 4 big in some ways. Yeah. Who's the other kid?
The other kid is this Tony Bradley.
Tony Bradley,
right? He's
at the end of the bench.
There, right? Yeah. But he doesn't have the experience because if you notice in the Denver series, he made a couple of mistakes. So that's what's holding this kid about. He needs to grow a little before he's going to be that good, But for Miles, again, I'm only looking at Miles from the standpoint is I expect more from him.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I think this series would have been 3-0 right now if Miles is being the Miles he's supposed to be.
I don't know. I think that the Oklahoma City really desperately needed to win game 2, and they were going to.
True.
Now, speculating on the next game.
You can't stop the fury. If Miles knows himself, you can't stop that.
The big thing about Miles Turner is the most effective thing he can do is like what he did yesterday with the defensive stuff, blocking and being physical, tossing Chet around. But the other thing that's huge for him is if his three's going in, and his 3 wasn't really going in last night, and that's where he can be super helpful. And in earlier rounds in the playoffs, he was absolutely huge for his 3-point shooting. So
I like to use the saying, a big has got to be a big, and if Miles understands his bigness, this is in the Pacers' pocket.
Man, I don't know. I think this is the thing. This is what I was saying. I think there's going to be adjustments, and I actually picked the Indiana Pacers to win the next game 2 and go up 3-1.
Yeah.
But and Kings picking the other side. This will be interesting to see what happens.
Think about it this way: what you saw Miles did yesterday, is what Chet has never been used to seeing.
Yeah. Well, part of it is all right, some of the stuff that went on last night was weird. The crew chief was James Capers with Tony Brothers and Tyler Ford. And right from the start of the game, they were touchy with the whistle. They set up a thing where there were 2 fouls before anybody scored any points right away. And one of them was on SGA immediately. And then, there was
those are like nervous. Those guys nervously foul themselves.
Yeah, but no, it's also the referees setting the tone of how they're going to call it for the night.
Yeah, but remember, their boss is in the audience.
Yeah, but let's not even get into that. Let's keep on topic here. Basically, the refs, for most of this playoff have let a lot go. And sometimes the refs will come in, like last night, Tony and James were like, we're going to call it a little tighter and y'all need to adjust. And in some ways, a young team like the Thunder may not exactly understand what that means and where the boundary is between this and that. I think a very good play that kind of shows this is the Neesmith foul that they reviewed to see if it was a flagrant. And the way that he did that, and I love the Steve Jabby explanation, is really, really helpful. And it wasn't
a real wind-up. It was,
no. And a lot of people would say, well, he wasn't going for the ball either. He just grabbed his body. That should be a flagrant. But he wasn't trying to hurt him was part of it also.
No, he was containing him.
Yeah. And he actually held him up, even if it was by his crotch. But, this is the thing. Referees can be a factor in determining the game. And I thought that Ford and Brothers did a great job last night. And, that's the thing. It's like some of the calls that SGA would get in the regular season were not being called last night. Whether it's like him initiating contact and bumping off a Nebhard. And then like Chet, I'm sure there was some of the stuff that Miles Turner was doing to him last night where he's like, well, that's a foul. Why isn't that a foul? There was one play where Miles threw his ass to the ground and ran up the court, and Chet came up slower because he literally did throw his ass to the ground. But nobody cared. Nobody cared, man, because it's the playoffs. And they ain't looking at that. They don't care that you're on the floor. So don't lay there and expect them to call the whistle. Miles Turner's already back at the other end, and you're on your ass sitting at the other end of the court. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, this is not what he's been seeing before.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to bring that physicality.
You have to adjust the whistle and understand what's allowed within that physicality.
Yeah, but let him understand that, hey, this is how the big boys play.
Yeah, I love it, man, because in some ways it's like that's you expose him that way. That is like, look, he's a wing. He's a 3. Yeah. He's not even a 4 to me at this point. The only thing he does really well on defense is he's a shot blocker. Other than that, he doesn't box out. He does not hold presence in the paint. He's absolutely needs Hartenstein next to him to take care of those duties. In some ways, yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Mark Dagnall's failing the Thunder, honestly, is what's happening right now.
Yeah, but you see, that's where that's the Carlisle effect.
Yeah.
You're going to see the difference between Dagnall and Carlisle.
Yeah.
But I think that happened during the first game because he already blinked the moment he changed the lineup. He should never have changed the lineup.
And now he's being stubborn and keeping it out there to his own detriment, honestly. To his own detriment. Because the first game, the Thunder jumped out all over them, and they still ended up losing by 1. The second game was an even start, and they kind of separated from them in the middle of the game and blew them out. In this game, both teams started about the same 2, and that's dangerous for the Thunder. In some ways, they want more like what happened in the first game of the season series.
Yeah, don't keep it close.
They jump out because if you're anywhere near close, I mean, Tyrese Halliburton, you may be in trouble by the end of the game. Neil, anything else you want to add real quick before we wrap up this call, my guy?
Let's go down this draft route. I still believe when it comes on to this season, right? These guys are you have to take into account not only the players' abilities, but you have to take a where is this organization going? And if they're looking to go in the direction of Scotty is the man, that means you have to have players that are ready to go now. You don't have time for a project.
Yeah.
Because the project was last season, right? When they brought in all these rookies, but they changed direction. So therefore, the draft pick has to reflect the new direction that they're going in.
Yeah.
So this is why I say to Cedric Bowers, and this is why I can see a Carter Bryant. I can see them going for a more polished person because they're looking for a certain result. And then also remember, whoever they get, they can't be in the starting lineup.
No.
The current roster, the starting lineup is already done. You know what I mean?
It's a certain sweet spot we want to find.
Yeah.
And I agree with you.
They're going to be a spark off the bench. They got to work with Walter because I know Walter's going to come off the bench, and he's going to be one of the creators. is gonna be a real good pick to work off of.
I think you're right. I think that this has got to be somebody who's not totally a project at number 9 that we take, because in some ways our rookies advanced so much last year that in some ways we're ready to win this year, and it's got to be somebody who's not like totally like trying to get in the starting lineup either. They got to be rotation. And once again, I want them to be a 4 or 5 because that's really the part of the rotation we need more depth on.
Yeah, I can see. Okay, it'd be great if it's going to be a 4. I think our second round pick will be for the 5, or we're going through trade. But remember, we signed our what's his name to our center our center from what's the rookie's name again? Not the rookie.
Shamshay.
Not Shamshay. Shamshay is Stash.
Oh, Castleton.
Castleton. Castleton. I thought
Colin Castleton.
Yeah. Okay, so the guy that we signed back up and we got rid of what's his name for him. That is their safety. If they can't get a center in the draft, in the draft,
yeah, they can. They got Colin around to try and see what he does this summer. Yeah, I can see this. We'll see what he does this summer as far as like progress with his body and maybe some of the stuff he's been working with our team.
If he doesn't, the team can hold up for another year. Is what I'm looking at.
Well, I would say this:
didn't put all his eggs in one
the 39th pick can be a project. The 39th pick can be a project, but the 9th pick cannot be a project. That's what I was saying.
You need to get the value out of that pick. You have to get the value out
within reason. Within reason.
And there is good centers out there within that second round.
There's so many centers in this draft. It would be a shame if we didn't pick up a good center in this draft because there's so many good centers in this draft.
Move up that 39th pick to grab what you want. Like I agree with you. The Jones, there's the Wolf guy. There's a whole bunch of them. Like
there's a lot of them. Yeah, there's a lot of size in this draft.
If they don't like the 39, make a deal, move it up, and get who you want. But I believe they can come up with 2 good picks.
Yeah, well, I hope so. I know we will because we got Masai. Anyway, Neil, I'm going to wrap up the call with you, man, and we're going to keep going. I appreciate you calling today, man. I appreciate, man, I lost control of myself in some ways.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I think, you know what, Stargate hit it on the nail, right? I come from a different perspective. You know what I mean? Because I'm from the perspective of Trojan horse, the double cross. I'm always expecting that to happen. So that's why I don't put my faith in any of them.
Sure.
Because I'm like, hey, who's this one here? Who's smiling at my face could be laughing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I get what you're saying. I think in some ways it's definitely a difference of perspectives. And also, I think we may not have been exactly talking about the same thing, honestly. All right, man. I got the second call coming in right now. So I'm going to say adios to Blackhawk and let's go Raptors, man. We got somebody else here. All right, my guy. Let's see what's up. We got somebody else coming on. Let's see what's here. We got a call coming right in. Let me see if I can get this. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Yo, tapping in from Alberta. What's good?
It's the sheriff, Seymour Pape, showing up from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm coming in this defending Chet, man. I don't know why. Okay, I got a question for y'all.
Let's go.
Why are you guys bashing Chet?
Yes. I know. You know, Scotty would be like this too.
The man is very slender and skinny. The wind could break the guy's arm. We know this.
Yes, I know.
He's in second or third season. You guys are comparing him to Miles fucking Turner, who's been in the league for.
I know. But it's a man's league.
Come on, what are you guys expecting? You know what? You guys don't rip Chris Boucher.
No, because he's one of our own. We love him, and he. No, listen. I want to be fair on this. I did rip Chris when he was younger and said he needed to get bigger. So I had the same kind of energy. It wasn't as venomous, but I had the same criticism for Chris like 6 years ago. I'm not gonna lie.
And then look at the way the man started the game. I'm sitting there saying, "Whoa! If Chet keeps playing,
he did play really well at the beginning." Yeah.
In that first quarter, I said, if he keeps playing like this the rest of the season, hey, he's gonna win MVP of the finals. If he keeps playing that first quarter, it was 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals.
He was good in the first 5 minutes. He was.
But then at the end, when it came down to the crunch time, you know, you cook like, and I think Stargate put it out there. He said, Coach Carlisle, I'm going to give him the MVP right now because without that coach, Pacers ain't going nowhere.
That's probably true.
You see when Thomas Bryant was in the game guarding Chet Holmgren. My bad. I mean, home guard. This man turned into a point guard and was eating Thomas Bryant's food the whole 90 feet of the court, taking the ball in and going to the court.
He had that one transition play that was awesome. Yeah, he did have a really nice transition.
And as soon as I seen him do that, I was like, oh my gosh, Holmgren's eating Bryant.
Yeah.
And then Carlisle seen it and put Obi in, and I swear to God, for those who know basketball, they see that the Pacers had figured out Oklahoma for the first time in the whole series.
Yeah, I got that feeling last night too.
Yeah, man, and it changed everything. Because Coach Carlisle, like I said, without the coach, Pacers would be in trouble.
They shut the Thunder down. That's the amazing thing. That's such a potent offense with a lot of different weapons, and somehow, some way, the Pacers covered them very well in the fourth quarter. And it's a team effort. It's like there's nobody on their team that's like a super, super defensive, like notoriety. It's the team defense that's doing this and them shoring things up and just not giving them anywhere to go. And it's really impressive considering your guy Chet is a very difficult player to guard, and so is SGA. So
yeah, facts.
Yeah,
and I seen, like I said, I seen him eat up Wembanyama's food at the under 18 tournament. That was like maybe like 2 years.
I know. Listen. This is gonna be just like we're gonna have to agree to disagree on him. I am a Chet hater. You are a Chet lover. And honestly, this is a lively conversation I don't mind having. If you want to be pro Chet, I can be the opposite, and you know we can have interesting discussions. I will give you credit. He started the game like Siakam started for Indiana. He was the place setter for the Thunder early because he was getting loose and he was getting in there. But it could have been like right after the beginning of the game, Carlisle, like you said, being the genius, and the reason for this, I agree with you, is Miles put his ass on the floor. It's like, look, you're letting that man just go and do whatever he wants, flipping through the lane, doing this. Y'all aren't getting physical with him. And well, Miles Turner listened to his coach and he started tossing him around like a rag doll because he really did kind of do that. You know, that's true. There were times where he just physically moved him as he wanted to.
Turner was weak the first 3 quarters. I don't know if you've seen how many blocks SGA was getting on him coming from the weak side, blocking him. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, you're 7 foot, bro. Go up strong.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like you said, I think it was in the fourth quarter, Carlisle sat him down and said, look, man, you got 200 pounds on the whole fucking court. Yeah. You're a veteran. Use your big ass, and you know what I mean? And it worked. And OKC's coach sort of failed hard because you had the hot hand in Chet early, then they went away from it. Like, it's just poor coaching on OKC side. Like, honestly,
they didn't get bench production at all. Ben Mathurin outscored the Thunder bench 22 or 27 to like 18. They got 18 bench points for the Thunder last night. You know, Aaron Wiggins was not like he was the game before. He had his goose egg. And, you know, I think that one of the main key things that happened last night to help the Pacers win was the home court advantage. Those fans were fantastic for bringing that energy to really root them on. And then the block shots by the Pacers in certain places were huge. And maybe it was the Miles Turner blocking Chet on a 3. Maybe it was Siakam down low blocking a couple people near the basket. So I feel like those were huge plays in the fourth quarter with the extra added defensive intensity. That straight up Halliburton steal in the middle of the game where he had all the time in the world to just lay up or dunk the ball. You know, these were the really important plays. TJ McConnell getting steals like he did in different places.
Yeah, cutting through the passing lanes to get, that's clutch. That's big.
Yeah.
But do you see the glazing they're doing for Halliburton? It's like,
I know.
That's a great player.
I know.
But come on, stop the glazing, man.
Yeah.
How come I'm not seeing the MVP?
I completely agree. It won't matter because the people that will vote for stuff, like in the last round, they'll give the Eastern Conference MVP to the guy they know deserves it. I agree. I think that Halliburton had a fantastic game last night. He had almost a triple-double, 1 rebound shy. But to me, he's like window dressing around the cake. And the cake inside the cake meat is Siakam and McConnell and Mathurin. And kind of the window dressing, the trimmings around the cake is kind of like Halliburton just sprinkling threes here and kind of showing up. And that's necessary and good. And the main important thing is at the end of the game, if they really need Tyrese to take over and hit some huge shots, he will be there for them then. But yeah, I really do feel like, yeah, in some ways he's like, he's a superstar in this league, but in some ways he's not totally to me. Because because some ways he's kind of flaky with his production. And he's also kind of, I don't know, man. Like, he's not that much better than an old school player like John Starks. How about that? Yeah.
Starks was an electric player. He was really he was an electric player. But I think you got it right there. They're more for the entertainment side of the game.
Yeah.
You know, because even Halliburton, he said like the main thing for him is going out there having fun.
Yeah.
You know, he loves being the moment, as you could say. Right. And I think Pascal is a perfect matchup with him because I've never seen Halliburton start a game off where he's just the go-to guy. He usually comes in after somebody else is hot, like a Mathurin.
He needs to set the table. Siakam sets the table, and boom, then he shows up. And man, it is really important that Benedict has so many points in so few minutes. That's such great production for them. You got this guy coming in and outscoring his minutes. And then on the other side, nobody's scoring for the bench on the other side of the teams. And that's a huge advantage. Benedict Mathurin leveled up a little bit last night. And I want to say this, Halliburton, I'm going to give him some credit. He's leveling up maturity-wise because this man's not showboating or gloating at all right now. And he has opportunities to do that, but he's being very calm, cool, collected, and professional. And I appreciate Tyrese Halliburton being more of a good winner right now because that shows that he's grown up a bit because he hasn't in the past.
Two more things. One, why the fuck the Pacers? Oh, sorry about my language.
That's all right.
The Pacers keep wearing the same jersey. Like, don't they got a second jersey? Do you notice they've been wearing that same yellow jersey the whole playoffs? It's like, what's going on?
I actually, I was thinking about this last night. Honestly, you see Reggie Miller at courtside with Oscar Robertson and his son. I think about like I'm really glad they're wearing the old colors and the old logos on the middle of the court because the Pacers have gone in some crazy directions with their uniforms in the last few years as far as like the neon blue and the neon yellow and that stuff. It would be weird if they were wearing their city edition kind of stuff in the finals right now because in some ways they want to homage and harken back to Reggie's era, right? And having the old logo and the old colors is really important. And in some ways, it harkens back to like 2000 when they were in the finals against the Lakers with Reggie and Rick Smits and Mark Jackson. So it's like, I like it. It's nostalgic. But you're kind of right. They have been kind of wearing out the yellow right now.
Yeah, they don't switch to their, if that's their home uniform, they haven't played in their away uniform the whole playoffs.
Like, I don't think I've seen them wearing the blue yet. No. I think you're exactly right. They've been wearing yellow, yellow, yellow. Now, could that partly be because Oklahoma City want to wear blue? I don't know.
They wore the white in game one, and then they switched to the blue in game two.
Yeah.
But Indiana's been in that yellow, and I'm sitting there saying, because there's an old trick to basketball. If you don't wash the jersey and it starts smelling and it's sweaty, guys don't want to cover you. I'm a very hygienic person. So whenever I had a matchup against a guy who got sweaty and shit, I didn't want to touch him. So all slimy and shit.
Yeah, we employed this tactic on my team that I used to run in Tallahassee in City League. My center, John Dodrell, he would not bathe for like 3 days before our games. And he would literally eat raw onions before he stepped on the court. Like he'd start chomping on raw onions and then get on the court. And that was exactly why what you just said. He had people not wanting to try and guard him. He was our center. And he was like a 6'6" guy. And he was like this lanky hippie guy with long hair and his like hair tied back in a handkerchief kind of thing. And yeah, it was hilarious, man.
Is a crime,
Yeah. Oh, he smelled like ass. Let me just say that. And like being on the team with him, even as a teammate, I was like, I don't want to go near him myself. Like, I understand why y'all don't want to guard him, but he was a very effective scorer.
I think that's what the Pacers are doing. Okay, I'm gonna get on the last thing.
Yeah. One more. All right, man.
What's your take? I gotta hear your take on this. New York going to the Dallas, trying to get Kidd.
Yeah.
Trying to get Houston's coach. Trying to get Finch from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Is there no fines or something for team tampering.
I know. What? You're right. Like, where's Adam Silver in this? Why isn't he slapping their hand back or something like that? Maybe the humiliation of the rejection publicly is enough of a punishment for them. It's like we'll take draft picks away from them for this, and we'll fine them for this. But you know what? Y'all are idiots, and you're making yourself look bad. So we don't need to do anything here. So I agree. I feel like there's been too much tampering in the NBA over the last few years, going all the way back to 2019 with Kawhi Leonard, and I'm just sick of it. NBA, you have caught a couple people for tampering or early trading before the trades are actually supposed to be announced. And I don't get this, man. Why does New York get special rules? Would another team do this and y'all might fine them? That's what I want to know, Adam Silver. That's what I want to know. All right, Seymour, man, I appreciate your call. I appreciate you standing for Chet. In some ways, look, I am a hater. I'll be completely honest. I could paint him in a whole other lens like you did on your call if I wanted to, but I don't. Respect, man. And it's always great to hear from my friend, the City Slicker, out in Mountain Standard Time, man. I hope things are going good, and go Surge. And yeah, man. And I hope you'll call in again very, very soon on the channel, man.
For sure. Go Raptors, go.
Let's go, Seymour. All right. That's a good Raptor streak right there. That's our sheriff, the Seymour Pape, holding it down for us with the wrench always on the channel as one of our moderators. I love you, man. Thank you for calling today. Great calls right in a row there, Neil and Seymour Pape. Fantastic stuff from both you guys. I really, really appreciate you guys calling in, man. All right, let's see what else. Seymour's saying here also, Stephen A. Smith should have never talked down the Leaf fans for his Knicks. Ain't no better. Did he say some stuff about Leaf fans? Yeah, that's really Spider-Man meme right there. You're pointing at them as a Knick fan? Oh my gosh, you are that Spider-Man meme right there, Stephen A. Smith. You're a clown, bro. I can't wait for them to switch the broadcast crews. Like, seriously, get that crew out of there. We're complaining on it on Discord. Stargate's exactly right. I can't stand Richard Jefferson. I can't stand Malika Andrews. I can't stand Kendrick Perkins. I can't stand Bob Myers. I can't stand Stephen A. Smith. Can we get Ernie and Kenny and Charles and Shaq now, please? Please. It's like the only person I like on that broadcast is Mike Breen, even though he's kind of like I don't like it when he calls James Capers Jimmy Capers. Like he's some sort of 1930s like mobster or something. Oh, Jimmy Capers, we got to go get it into the illegal moonshining business. Yeah, we're gonna be moonshiners. Yeah, that'll be our new caper, Jimmy Capers. Like he's some sort of James Cagney character in an old mobster movie from the 40s or something like that. Oh, Jimmy Capers. Yeah, but once again, I thought the refs did a good job last night. Yeah, Seymour saying casual takes kill sports. That may be true to an extent. Seriously, that may be true. Too many people having too many microphones, maybe. Check. Mic check. Check. Check Holmgren balled out, but you can see his size and experience came in a factor late in the game. That's fair. He totally set the table for the Thunder and got them going. And Carlisle got his bigs to adjust. And, you know, the experience is a factor here. I think the Pacers are the more experienced veteran team in this situation, in this finals. And in some ways, that's part of the reason why they're up 2-1 right now. 2-1. Yeah, that's sad, man, about that airplane in India. Man, I really hate hearing that. Rest in peace. And I hope, man, everybody can get past this stuff, man. Yes, sirs. Yeah, I was wondering about their shirts. It's like, is one of their shirts said Indiana, yes, it is, or something like that. Indiana, yes, it is. I was like, wait, what? What does that shirt mean? And then the yes, sirs is weird one, man. I guess it's like when it's like, yes, sirs, yasers. Are you supposed to say yasers? Indiana yasers? I don't know. Yasers? I don't know. It's weird, man. It's weird stuff. Stargate's here. It's his defense, not his offense I'm looking at. Yeah, with Rasheer. Yeah, I mean, he's a very impressive player in certain ways. You know who he kind of reminds me of? He kind of reminds me of Rodney Rogers a little bit. All right, we got our fourth call on the show today, guys, and this is I'll let him introduce himself here.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are on Raptor Street with the lyrical Leviathan Lex. This is King from To The Point. What's going on, Lex?
What's up, Brian? I am so enjoying our series on doing reactions after games in the finals this year. And man, we have a great chemistry. I really do feel like that. And I'm really enjoying just like getting the chance to have on the spot insight and collaborating with you, man. It's so fun.
Yeah, I love it too, man. I'm having a blast with this, even though it's like we're losing sleep.
We're grinding, yeah. Yeah, burning that candle at both ends, because I'm up here in the morning and like I'm up till 1 recording with you last night. So yeah, it was.
Man, I didn't go to bed till like after 2, just editing the videos. So.
Man, I appreciate the work you and Arturas are doing. Arturas, big shout out to our Lithuanian guy overseas, the producer for To The Point, throwing our stuff together that we've been doing the last week or so since the final started, man. I'm just enjoying it, man. And our bet is on. He's got Thunder in game 4. I've got the Pacers in game 4. I think it'll be another tight, close game like they have been 2 of the 3 games so far this finals. So.
Yeah, in case we didn't get to really cover it, I just wanted to say, like it was a really good game yesterday. I'm glad to see all the key points that I said in order for the Pacers to win in game 2.
Yeah.
On our game 2 recap, that they actually committed to.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's listening to me or something, but they executed everything I said that they would need to win.
I think
they pulled it off.
I think it's more great minds think alike there, Brian. I think that's what it is right there.
Here we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
I ain't taking no credit for nobody else's stuff. But I promised you I'd get up early and I'd be on here with the Freak Nation because I got nothing but love for you guys.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, you're always welcome to call in, man. Like I've been saying earlier, I'm like, I know we do most of the call-ins on Thursday, but I'm starting to think that I might have the calls if you call me during the show. Even if you're a telemarketer, I might put you on the air. And you know what? That could be pretty fun, Like there's somebody who used to have my phone number, this guy named Vinay, and he's got all these bill collectors calling me all the time. So in some ways, we could have some fun with the bill collectors for Vinay on the air. It'd be fun if I get on there with some lady who's like, are you Vinay? And maybe I act like him on the air just for fun. A little Jerky Boys segment on the Raptor Freak channel, guys. Yes or no? Should I put the poll up?
It'll be, hello, my name is Dave. I'm calling from AT&T and I want to know whether you're going to pay.
Oh, hi, Dave.
That's not racist.
Yeah, what kind of service do you get out in Wasaga Beach? I'm way out here in the boonies.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just make up some stuff, man. I'm about it.
I don't want to keep you back. I'm glad to keep the Freak Nation entertained. I'm enjoying the chat, guys.
Right on.
Right, and it was actually a good game last night, and I can't wait to see more of this. This is actually, like I said in the first finals review. This is refreshing to see all these new faces, except for Pascal and Carlisle and Elmer Fudd, right? But to see them in the finals.
Next game, Friday night. We don't have to wait as long, which is fantastic. We'll be playing on tomorrow, which is fantastic. But yeah, Brian, man, I know that you're tired because you're burning the midnight oil at both ends. And if you need to go back to sleep, man, it's all good. But I appreciate you getting up and calling in this morning and helping me promote our collaboration on the show today. Y'all definitely check out To The Point, man.
Anything to promote Raptors Freaks, okay?
Right on. Down with you. Well, the lyrical Leviathan has your back, my guy.
Okay, and the one and only King has your back.
Awesome, man. All right, Brian.
I'm out of here. So, everybody, Raptors Freak Nation, the RFF crew, okay? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
peace. Yes, Brian. Yes, so good to hear from King. Man, really burning up the phone lines today with 4 calls today in under an hour and a half. Fantastic stuff, man. We're getting good quality calls here too. Yeah, it's been so much fun working with To The Point, and expect more collabs in the future, guys. I think that this one with the finals has gone so well that we're in the early development stages of doing some more stuff, especially coming up with maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll see what our schedules are like and how we can line it up. But man, it's going so well. I'd like to do more of them in certain ways with him later on, man. Yeah. Let's see. G's here. Good to see original Raptor Freak trivia champion, the original champion of trivia. G. Mathurin had a legacy game. Yeah, this was his career high in the playoffs. And, he's been getting so close. He's been kind of stymied in the first couple games of this series, but he busted it open last night for sure. Pascal is now 2 wins away from a chip. I don't care what the media is trying to say. The finals is fire. Yeah, it's so dumb. Like, why do you poo-poo your own product? That once again, you guys are making the product worse from inside the broadcasters when you put it down by saying there's small market teams, all this stuff. I think Adam Silver had the right thing to say at the beginning of the game. Is that, even though it's Indiana and Oklahoma City, you go to those cities right now, and because there's nothing else going on in those cities are fully in finals mode. Like Adam Silver said, you can walk around Oklahoma City or Indianapolis right now, and you will feel the NBA Finals presence wherever you go in that city, whether it's people wearing their colors for their team or just the decorations and the way the city went all out to welcome the people coming for the finals games. You could probably ask Trevor J, who went to Oklahoma City for game 2, just how much Oklahoma City is bought into promoting the finals right now and how much it is revolving around the whole entire city right now. So, you put these finals in New York, you put these finals in LA. Well, there's a lot of competition for attention in LA right now. So I'm just saying the whole big show in those cities right now is the finals. And in some ways, that's very exciting and fun for those markets and in some ways for the NBA, guys. So listen, it's not always about the biggest, the best, and the most. And everybody always saying that. Sometimes it's about quality over quantity. And, you can have a bigger market, you can have all this other stuff. But if your team is not playing team basketball and they're not in the new parity of the NBA, well, you ain't going to be there. And you got to start building your team right. And that's part of it right there. Yeah, I'm sick of this stuff. Media, stop putting down the product. You're the problem because you build the perception that the NBA sucks yourself. And y'all need to stop doing that. That's right. Not really looking at him as a center. Yeah, Rasheer Fleming, in some ways, he can play small ball center. In some ways, he could play that. Yeah. I don't know, man. We'll have to see what happens here. I think he's an athletic stud. I think that he's a good young man. And I think I would be happy to have him in a Raptors jersey. It's just, once again, I say the net we have to catch something in the draft, he may fall through the holes in the net we got because of where our draft picks are in the draft. That if Fleming's going to be a late teens or in the 20s kind of draft pick late in this first round, that's a reach at 9. And he's probably not going to be available when we get to 39 for sure. Yeah, I could see that. James is here. Good to see James, Raptor Freak James. Indiana giving OKC more trouble than the Timberwolves. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, I think that it's a testament, like we've been saying, to Rick Carlisle once again, and people like Siakam and Turner. Honestly, TJ McConnell, fantastic stuff by him too. A little bit of great spot duty by Ben Shepherd last night in the place of Andrew Nebhard and covering SGA. He really had some key moments last night. And, Nebhard's interesting, man, because this is the thing. I think that this matchup with Gilgeous-Alexander and Nebhard is actually one of the worst ones for Shai. Because, listen, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the leading scorer in the NBA. He's the MVP. He's obviously one of the most potent offensive weapons in the NBA today or in basketball in the world today. But there's a little bit of kryptonite in Andrew Nebhard because they're similar body types. They're best friends in some ways. And also, there's not a scariness to Andrew about SGA. SGA probably scares the hell out of most of the players in this league as far as I have to play SGA tonight because he's going to cook me and he's going to do what he does. And I'm probably going to foul him like 5 times. But with Nebhard, he's not the boogeyman to him because he stands next to him in the red and white of Canada. And there are actually really good friends. And then, like I said, in some ways, the physical complementary size and speed of Andrew versus Shai is very good battle. And in some ways, he's a kryptonite for SGA. So in some ways, this is part of the underlying storyline that needs to be taught is that Nebhard is a horrible person. And nobody can really guard SGA or shut him down. But if there's somebody in this league that can come close, it's Andrew Nebhard, and for the reasons that I just told you. So he's not scared of him. Like a lot of players in this league would be afraid of him. In fact, in some ways, they'll laugh at each other's face, talk trash the whole entire game like they're best friends, and they won't change anything. And that's a big factor in this series. That in some ways, having Andrew Nebhard to guard SGA is a huge, huge, huge thing for Rick Carlisle. Huge thing. SGA didn't start the game smooth. He missed a lot of shots early. He kind of found his game later on and kind of got his shooting better. But he didn't shoot very well last night. He got his numbers, but he didn't shoot very well. He wasn't totally efficient. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, Smooth's here. Good to see Reggie. According to Mark Stein, Raptors are trying to force their way into the KD discussions. Yeah, Mark Stein's usually a good, reliable source, but sometimes this is a half-ass shit. And I don't believe this. I don't believe this. Why? Maybe as a third team to capitalize on the other stuff. It's not to get Kevin. So don't even think that, Raptors fans. Don't misread Mark Stein's report as the Raptors are trying to get Kevin Durant. No, it's more likely they want to facilitate as a third team to fleece somebody on the side in this deal by getting something in an opportunistic way, according to what's going on. So that's what I'll read that as. Whatever that's worth, that's what I hope it's worth right there. Fiercey's here. Good to see you, MJ. Good morning, fam, and happy Thursday. Good morning to you. Candy, always good to see you, Fiercey Salsera. I was rooting for OKC, ultimately, as I'm selfish, and I don't want no other team from the Eastern Conference other than our Raptors to win the chip. But I'm also happy for the Pacers. They don't annoy me. I mean, this is a nice finals. It really is for Canadians. We can't lose. Very awesome to see Nav at the game, sitting in his regular spot, wearing the Canada jersey, representing our Canadians. He can't lose either. He's down there to see all four of them, all five of them. But yeah, let's go look at the Instagram stories real quick, speaking of Nav. And first we got AJ Lawson. He's got his purple front black bag Raptors jersey on. He's listening to Gunna. And yeah, he's ready for the season. God's promises are greater than your obstacles. No matter what you're facing, his word stands firm and his power is unmatched. Trust him to see you through. Man, I got to have the belief in prayer and positivity right now. Yes, I am going to trust God that he's going to get me through tumultuous times coming up right now. Teresa Resch graduated yesterday, y'all. That's right. Teresa Resch was down at GB College. George Brown, I guess, got an honorary Bachelor of Brand Design degree from George Brown. So that's pretty cool. I wonder if it's totally because of her starting the tempo and getting it going. They're like, you know what? We're going to give you an honorary brand manager degree. Hey, that's fantastic. Look at that, Teresa. Go, Teresa, getting a college graduation there. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. There's Nav at the airport in Indianapolis. And he's saying, let's go. Game 3. Who you got? Indiana or OKC? Nav was awesome at the game. Of course, here's a picture of him with one of the other super fans in the league. That guy that wears the cowboy hat, the white hair. And then there's some guy with a hat with a hard hat, and he's got a pink flamingo. He was sitting next to Nav over there too, waving his flamingo around. But yeah, I don't think Nav's throwing the towel in this one. You know how he does the towel thing when people shoot free throws? I think he's unbiased in this series, and he's not trying to hurt either team. And he's just there. Although there was one point where one of the Thunder seemed like they were yelling at Nav, and he stood up. I think it was Jalen Williams. He made a play. And Nav stood up and he's like, why are you yelling at me? But yeah, it ended up that the fans thought that Indiana was going to win, and they were right. Indiana did win. So Nav, you keep going the games. Slim Duck's still putting up 5 signs that God is about to bless you. He's in a tumultuous time right now too, and unknown coming up with him. And in some ways, he's going to just trust in his faith in God that whatever's going to happen with him is going to work out for the best, right? Yeah. There he is outside working out. He's not in Toronto or Canada at this point. He could be in St. Lucia. He could be anywhere in the southern United States. But yeah, Chris is putting in work. He's wearing sunglasses. I always thought that was weird when people try to play basketball with sunglasses without like goggles or like holding it on. You know, you're out there in the sun. I get it. You can't really shoot when the sun's in your face. But man, you lose those sunglasses, somebody come and hit them off your head, or you just get them crushed or something like that. But he's just taking shots. So I don't know. He's out there shooting in sunglasses. Let's see. He's got more pub on Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. He's really being a strong advocate for this, probably because partly his own struggles with mental health right now. And knowing that, men's mental health is not something that's talked about enough in some ways. He's also got his own dunk tape on here. Somebody put a dunk tape of Chris Boucher together, and it's underrated. It is. There's a lot of fantastic dunks from Chris Boucher throughout his Raptors career. Seriously, I'll say his Raptors career because he barely did anything in Golden State. So yeah, the dunk reel for Chris over the years with the Raptors is very fantastic. A lot of impressive dunks, including that almost free throw line dunk that he did a couple years ago. He's also working out and shooting some shots. There he is, just bombing threes. Trey Boucher, the catapult is just on mark, and his target is being hit. Let's see. Jay Nathan is kind of going a little bit on a AJ Griffin tip right here. He's posted something from his church saying, "Will you be found to be faithful in the signs of the end times?" Yikes! Yikes, Mobo. I mean, listen, I get it. You know, things are crumbling around us in society right now, and maybe it is partly end times. But listen, I hope that you can play your full entire NBA career unhindered from anything that's disrupting it. So let's keep going, and don't early retire like AJ Griffin. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Coach Andrew Jones is coaching the kids. They're on the soccer field, though, right now, kicking the ball around. Team Juju in full effect. Coach Andrew is very much not in off-season mode for coaching. He is coaching constantly. He can't stop. He cannot stop. And there's his little girl, Ava, out there once again, putting up shots. That's right. Let's see who else we got. We got the JYD on the list today. He's out there in the community with the kids coaching. That's nice to see. Let's see. Is there anybody else on here? There's Norman Powell. He's bumping the Dwayne Wade interview where he's talking really big about DeMar DeRozan. There's a lot of people that respect and love DeMar DeRozan. The DeRozan Code is a real thing, and people have a lot of respect for the old vet and the future Hall of Famer, DeMar DeRozan, a GROAT in my book. Grady Dick had his highlight reel come out from the Raptors admin yesterday, and he's putting it on blast on his Instagram. Orlando Robinson's got the bag, and he's at the airport, it looks like. Let's see. Raptors have a new thing called Chill or Spill, and they're asking a bunch of scenarios. It's up to you to label them. Is it chill or spill? I won't even talk about who's the advertiser for this because I don't respect them. All right, shouting, ball don't lie after breaking a free throw in pickup. That's definitely chill. Chill. Don't do that. Please don't do that. All right, next one. Using a Coors Light mini fridge as your bedside table all season long. No, that's just effective kind of like usage of multitasking. If you have a fridge that you can keep stuff in, and then you're also using the top of it for your alarm and a lamp. Oh, that's brilliant. That's smart. That is spill. That's spill right there. Spill's good, right? I think chill's wrong, right? Or no, maybe spill's wrong and chill is a good one. I would be saying chill. Don't do that. So I don't know. Maybe I'm so old I don't understand which one's the good one. Anyway, we'll move on from this junk, this corporate junk here. Jamal Shed is showing that he is still out on the court putting in work right now in the offseason. I love to see it, man. He's working hard against defenses and trying to beat them. So you keep on going, Mal. You're going to be so good this year. I know you're coming up. Morris Peterson is back at Michigan State speaking to the crowd and the fans and stuff like that. And he's got OVO on blast too. So yeah, you go, Mo Pete, Spartan for life. There's your Instagram stories right there, covering all of it from DeMar DeRozan to Morris Peterson. You're going to get your Raptors info from the Raptor Freak stream. That's right. Boom goes the dynamite. Facts, fiercely facts. James is saying, my player comparison is Robert Covington. Great defense for Fleming. Robert Covington. See, I would aim a little higher. Seriously, I think that he's a solid role player, but I would aim a little bit higher in some ways. He's got an amazing arms and shoulders, Rasheer Fleming. He really, really does. Like, his arms are crazy. They are not matching his body. It's really weird. A 7'5" wingspan on a 6'8" or 6'9" guy. It doesn't look exactly right. He looks a little arm heavy. And that's very interesting. And the other thing that's great about him is he really does have muscular arms. He has a lot of strength already. So the thing about Rasheer is he's a project as far as offensively, like Stargate and I were saying earlier, but he, as a physical specimen, he is an NBA body already. And that's the difference there. In some ways, he'd be ready to take the physicality of the NBA to a degree. You just have to learn the experience of how to play in the NBA and the speed of it. But in some ways, his offensive game is a total project. So that's the balance, the trade-off with him is that you're going to get an NBA-ready body with strength and that crazy wingspan, but the offensive game is not polished. Let's just put it that way. Very interesting. Yeah, Neil's here. If you're trying to make a playoff run, the project is not ideal. A more baked player works best with your objectives in Scotty's timeline. Yeah, I'm not into getting a project right now unless it's with the later pick in the 39th, because for the most part, we want a ready-to-contribute guy at number 9. Right there. Fiercely saying, glad Pascal is showcased and recognized. Even ESPN bunch are fawning over him. Yeah. I mean, I do see some places where they'll do weird stuff like, say, Pacers, Obi Toppin, Tyrese Halliburton, and TJ McConnell leading their team to win. I'm like, wait, those are all the American guys. What about Benedict? Didn't he do something in the game last night? What about Pascal? Come on now. You're going to pick 3 Pacers and you're going to conveniently leave out 2 of the 20-point scorers in the game last night? And saying that there's some places that do this. They very much are avoiding talking about them. And, in the pregame show in different places, they will really dote on the spotlight of Tyrese Halliburton. They definitely will. That's right. Even ESPN does dumb things like rankings for the most important players in the finals, and they shade Pascal there. They really do. They put SGA and Halliburton and Jalen Williams, and then they put Pascal like 4th or 5th on the most important players in the NBA finals. Yeah, it's goofy, man. It's goofy. Wayne's here. Good to see Sergeant at Arm. Wayne Strainer is here. Morning, Raptor Freaks. Oklahoma City's coach hasn't set up his team to help SGA when he gets triple teamed. There is no outlet but for him to make a great shot. Shea is obviously tired and needs more help. That's a great point. I tend to agree with all that. I think that this is a testament to the feistiness of the Pacers defense and jumping in passing lanes and just irritating them. They were calling a lot of their issues last night unforced errors, but honestly, those were forced errors. Y'all can act like, oh, they didn't really put pressure on us. No, they put pressure on y'all, and y'all turned the ball over. That's not y'all just making mistakes or mental lapses, Thunder. That is pressure from the Pacers defense causing you to cough it up. And you can go ahead and be arrogant and say, oh, they were unforced turnovers. That's bullshit. Those were forced turnovers that y'all were committing. And the scary thing for Dagnall and the Thunder is that their turnover numbers have risen going deeper into the playoffs. Like they are committing more turnovers in this series than they've really committed this whole entire playoff season. And that's a scary thing that they're starting to get more sloppy. And that may be indicative of what you're saying too, Wayne, that SGA is tired and then he's more likely to give it up and turn the ball over. Because he did have a career high in turnovers last night for the playoffs. 6 turnovers last night for SGA. Seymour saying Mathurin. Oh, what a hooper, man. Needs to bring it every night. Yeah, you've shown something. It could be the home court advantage. It's more healthy and happy for an athletic player like him that plays with feel. There could be a couple different reasons why he woke up in this game last night, but it was the right night and the right, maybe partly the tempo and the spacing of the game was more conducive to Benedict and how he likes to break down defenses. If it's a little more loosey-goosey and wide open in certain ways, he's able to find the cracks. Siakam can go through skinnier cracks, but Benedict needs a little bit more wide road to run down to get some of the stuff he likes to do. And, well, the settings were really good for him with tempo and spacing on the floor for him to go and do what he does best. That's right. Blackhawks saying Malawatch doesn't work under a Nick Nurse system in their win now directive. Well, that's part of the fun. If Philadelphia reaches and gets Common at number 3 and they bring him in, we know that Nick's not a good development coach. And that's going to be a big, huge problem for Philadelphia any which way, no matter what. He's going to dote on the starters like Thibodeau does. And he could starve Malawatch in certain ways. I think that they just got Bonham. So it's like Aiden Bonham is already a similar kind of player to Common. He's not as big as Common, but he's kind of like a similar kind of project as a big, muscular center kind of like defensive presence kind of guy. And he has a lot to learn on offense. And, I could look at the rookie year of Aiden Bonham and how Nick used him and how far he came along. And, I don't know. In some ways, it's like, what would happen with Malawatch? Seriously. And, that's not a good place for him to go personally for him. He'd be much better off with his friend Ulrich up here in Toronto with Masai. That's right. He's got to understand that. In some ways, players need to understand coming in as young players, is this team got a good development record? Because that could really determine whether people are happy going places. And it could be more and more important as time goes on, especially with the NIL and the money that's being paid to college athletes in the coming future. That the way that players come from college into the NBA is going to be totally different. Some of it will be delayed. Some of this is going to mean that this draft right now is going to be very strong, and it may be the last strong draft for a few years, because all the players that are good are going to stay and make as much money in college through their whole eligibility. And there may be some lean years in the draft coming up after this one, because that makes sense, right? They just changed the rules. If there's more money in college now than ever, players are going to want to stay in college for 4 years. And that means that this will happen now, and there may be a lapse of good talent in the next couple of years of the draft. So this is a good year to jump on it and get draft picks. And in some ways, trading your draft picks this year for more draft picks in the next couple of years, that's stupid, because the draft picks this year are worth way more than the draft picks next year. I'm going to tell you that right now. I know that's for a fact right there. G saying the Pacers are 9-0 in the postseason when Clark attends games. There you go. They got to keep having Caitlin Clark come down with her Indiana Fever teammates. Yeah, really cool to see them on the there was like 5 of them there at the game last night. Yeah, they're probably very much like, Caitlin, you need to keep coming. And if we have any Fever games that are scheduled in the same day as the Pacers in the finals, we're scheduling the WNBA. Because they do probably want her down there. Yeah, G saying OKC benched Wiggins, who had like 5 threes last game. Pacers coaching is better at this moment. You know, Wiggins is a kind of guy that'll show up every once in a while. He's not an everyday contributor. And he had a huge game in the last one, but to expect him to come back and duplicate that in this game, it's not realistic. I think you're right. I think that the coach is getting out coached, and that's one of the main areas in why Indiana's up 2-1. That is one of the main areas. And I'm telling you, that fan base, the Indiana fan base, has really brought it right last night. They've been starved to get back to somewhere like this, and they brought it correctly. And I got to give a lot of credit to the Pacers fan nation for coming to that game correct and cheering their team to victory on home court. They brought the right kind of energy, a confident energy that was very supportive and very loud. And that felt like a finals game last night. So a big credit to Pacers Nation. Big credit to them. James is saying, I would have taken Yves Missy last year and Carter Bryant this year. Our defense goes up. Yeah, Yves Missy is a very interesting player. Of course, he would love to play for us because he'd be playing with Jacoby again. They were teammates on Baylor. And yeah, I mean, he's an impressive player. He's similar to Aiden Bana as far as like a very big, who's strong and athletic, but really a project still. Very much a project in any kind of offensive way. Yeah. Smooth saying Pacers court is distracting on TV, man. So bright, all that yellow everywhere. Yeah. I get that, man. I thought it looked cool, though, because in some ways, like I said, it really is a throwback. It really makes you think about Reggie Miller's era of the Pacers when you see those colors like that and that color combination and that logo in the middle of the court. I love that. I love that nostalgia because it brings back a lot. Of course, they had a lot of old Pacers at the game. We saw Mark Jackson. We saw Reggie. We saw Lance Stevenson. And we even saw our Panda friend, which I think that's funny that he shows up because he's such a black eye on the history of the Pacers. And in some ways, it's like, if I was Pacers Nation, I'd be like, nah, Ron, we don't need you to come here, bro. You're going to remind everybody about the darkest day in Pacers history. And honestly, bro, why are you here, man? I'm a Panda friend, and I'm here for meta world peace, and I will be here because I'm about peace, man. I'm not about punching fans in the face like before. Now, the Detroit fans deserve it. But still, Ron Artest coming up and showing up at the game last night, that just brings back all the memories of the ugliness and the end of Reggie Miller's career. So, yeah, that's weird, man. It's weird. Good morning to Kaz. Good to see Trucker Kaz checking in. Blackhawk is saying this next. Let's see what it jumped ahead. Let me get back. I would have loved Yves Missy on this team. I'm still good with Walter. Yeah, the Baylor connection's awesome. And, you know, there's a friendship there that'd be fun. Now, he's a quality big, but, you know, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Is there going to be a trade somewhere where we get Missy or Bana on our team at some point? I don't know. I'm not holding out for it. If it happens, hey, we'll see. We'll react to it then. Seymour saying, Coach Carlisle is the reason the Pacers win. The players are coming through, but the coach has the right guys on the floor at the right time. He really is playing the piano right, like Nick Nurse would, hitting those keys right. Whether it's TJ McConnell, whether it's Obi Toppin, whether it's pulling Thomas Bryant because he's not exactly effective, like a caller said earlier. You know, all that stuff is like really smart, masterful stuff. And in some ways, he's watching what Dagnall's doing with his lineups, and he's adjusting accordingly also. It's really a luxury to have such a team-first team like the Pacers are. You know, people like Aaron Nesmith and TJ McConnell are unsung heroes that absolutely are integral to their success and what they're doing right now. Obi Toppin also. So, yeah, they're really, really coach of the year, obviously. Well, it wasn't him. They gave it to Kenny Atkinson. who, well, didn't he get beat by this team? Yeah, Kenny Atkinson, the coach of the year, got beat by Rick Carlisle. So that's just how it is. Seymour saying Grady and Battle need to take some pages out of Neesmith's book. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Neesmith has been very clutch, and specifically in the fourth. Of course, he had that epic barrage of three-pointers in the round against the Knicks. And then last night, he was very quiet. He didn't have the best game last night, but he did have a very key three in a moment where the game was kind of in that moment where who's going to step up and take over the last 5 minutes. Aaron Neesmith hit a three then. And that was very key. Yeah, that was very key. Stargate saying that's sad news. It was on its way to London Gatwick. Yeah, that's horrible. Oh, man, there's so much tragedy and suffering and sadness in this world today, man. It's hard to kind of grasp the totality of it all around the world right now. And I hate it, man. I hate it. We need more healing. We need more storytellers. We need more sanity. We need more brotherhood and sisterhood and looking out for each other. We need more coming together instead of dividing. And there's so many bad forces out there that are trying to tear us apart and really manipulate the whole situation for basically more money for very rich people. And it's very, very disgusting and gross. And this world needs to change. It's going to change either way, whether they like it or not, whether it's going to be climate cataclysm or it will be uprising because people have just had enough. Seriously, people have just had enough. Randolph's here. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. You are alive today. Be grateful. Man, I am counting my blessings. Thank you, Lord, for another day above the ground. You appreciate all those around you and do all you can to lift others up. We need each other. Yeah, now more than ever. Randolph Phillips, such poignant, important words of wisdom this morning. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families. My thoughts and prayers go out to all the families and people impacted by the Indian Airlines crash. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Yes. And man, I hope that this crash didn't have nothing to do with anything with cuts in the American FAA. If there's anything like that, well, there can be linkages to responsibility with the president, if that is the case. Infamous saying, Salute Freaks, has the number changed? I don't know. It's the same number that you called the other day. You called, I saw your name come through. I saw your name, Infamous. So if you call that number again, it's just that you rang for 1 second and then it switched off. So if you want to call again, the number is the 209 area code number. That's the number right there. I think you got it the other day. Trevor's saying, if y'all like NCAA track and field, outdoor championship today on ESPN at 7 p.m. Okay, interesting. Yeah, all right. I'm not totally into that. I'll be kind of busy today. It is my grandmother's birthday today, guys. She's 103 years old today, guys. I'm not going to go see her today. I'll go see her tomorrow. But yeah, I'm excited about that. This week is really busy with birthdays. And yeah, my grandmother turned 103 today, guys. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing to me, man. Yeah. Stargate saying, you're right about Chet, Lex. He's weak. He's just, in some ways, it's not his fault. I get it. It's his body type. And in some ways, as a skinny guy like him and Boucher, I totally relate. Maybe that's why I'm a little harsh on him. It was like, Lex, you tried so hard to gain weight and you couldn't. Chet can't either. Damn it, Chet. Why are you like me? That may be part of why I'm so much harder on him. I see myself in him. That's right. Kaloy saying, Pacers are just tough, man. They don't overwhelm you like OKC, but if you weather that storm and play all 48 minutes, you can break down OKC. Pacers have the best conditioning and mental toughness. This is what they're saying, Kaloy, that part of the success of the Pacers is they're out tiring people. Like they are not getting tired themselves, and the other team is running out of gas, and they're keep on going. And I really do feel like this is the aggregate of playing a fleshed out full rotation for the whole entire 82 and through the playoffs to this point. That, you know, in some ways, if Dagnall was doting too much on his starters at different times or maybe playing shorter rotations, the Pacers were not. They were playing this certain way and practicing this certain way all the whole entire season. And now it's a huge strength. And I'm also going to pretend this right now. I think that the era of running playoff rosters like Nick Nurse and Tom Thibodeau is going to be dead after this. That in some ways, I say this on the To The Point reaction last night. This is a copycat league. And whatever teams are doing the most successful things will get copycatted. And if we're looking at the Pacers and what they've done successfully, they've had a 10-man rotation that has been very, very much an advantage. It was an advantage against the Knicks. It was an advantage in this round too. And what we may see is this whole tighten up of the rotation for talent in the playoffs is going the way of the dinosaur, because honestly, that may be more sustainable, and it's maybe more smart to be deep and having 10 deep, that 10 reliable players that you have no worries about being out there and playing. I could see the league starting to copycat this, or at least coaches understanding that Rick Carlisle brilliantly used his team. This is something I've said that I wanted the Raptors to do more and more, especially during Nick Nurse years. When I saw, it's like, man, play more guys, bro. Stop tiring out Fred and Pascal so much and play more dudes, man. You got these other guys. Get them out there. They're fresh. I'd much rather have 10 guys that can cycle in and out fresh than you overplaying 7 guys and them being tired at the end. It's like the microcosm of, DeMar and Kyle in the past overplayed in the regular season and then no gas in the playoffs. Well, you could do that in a game. You could shoot your shot with Siakam and Fred and OG and play them too much, Nick Nurse. And then they're tired at the end of the game. And they can't play clutch at the end of the game to close the game out the right way. The Pacers balance their minutes. They balance their energy. Everybody's putting in their equal share. And by the end of the game, they're not out of gas as SGA and their crew. That's a thing right there. And I think that is going to be copycatted. And the Raptors are already doing this. We have a 10-man rotation regularly. Darko likes playing 10 men every game. And I think that this is the way to go in the future for winning teams in the NBA if they want to get the Larry O'Brien, that you're going to have to play 10 players. You can't do this Thibodeau 7-player shit. It doesn't work. It fails. That's it right there. That's it right there. Neil's saying Turner was finally giving Chet a WWE. He was a little bit. I thought it was hilarious. I'm a hater like that. When I saw him throwing him around, I was like, yes, throw him around, Miles Turner. Please expose him. Please expose him. G saying, I've noticed teams and players, because in some ways I hate the way Doris Burke fawns over him. Seriously. Doris Burke loves Chet so much. He's just so incredible. What a unicorn. It's like the way she's fawning over him is kind of gross, honestly. Chet is just such a great player in so many ways. And it's like, oh my gosh, just shut up. Keep glazing him, seriously. In some ways, that was annoying me. And that's why it was kind of fun to see him get tossed around in some ways. G saying, I have noticed teams and players that depend on the free throws don't excel as much in the playoffs. Sixers and Embiid, Brunson, etc. Teams like the Raptors that deal with a bad whistle adjust better. This makes sense to me. That, if you're relying on getting bailed out by the whistle, well, Tony Brothers ain't going to give you a whistle in the playoffs. He's going to swallow it up, and he's going to laugh at you. He's like, oh, what'd you see? Oh, you're in the playoffs, son. I'm sorry. This is just the way it is. I'm sorry. I'm Tony Brothers. I've been in this league for 30 years, and this is how it is. I'm sorry. Did you expect it? The Pacers fans got that free throw merchant sign up for SGA. Well, I'm sorry. The bank's closed, free throw merchant. You cannot get the free throws like you could. And in fact, SGA did not have anywhere near the free throw attempts that he normally has in the regular season last night. He only shot 6 free throws last night. That's 3 trips to the line. That's not normal for SGA. He's usually getting double digits in free throw attempts. So that's a symptom right there of what we're saying. It's like, yeah, and especially free throw merchants like Joel Embiid, a notorious abuser of that. And Jalen Brunson, yeah, that was a factor in the last round and why Indiana beat New York. Is because Jalen Brunson wasn't getting all the sweetheart calls he would get during the season when the referees are kissing New York's ass and trying to help them get further in the regular season. Yeah, it ain't happening in the playoffs. And G's exactly right. Yeah, Blackhawks saying, welcome to the NBA moment. Yeah. Maybe it's a little delayed. Maybe it's a welcome to the NBA Finals moment. Hello, young Thunder. Welcome to the NBA Finals. This is Rick Carlisle. He's been here before. He knows how to do this. Y'all don't necessarily. That's your welcome to the NBA Finals moment. Kaloy saying this finals matchup is such a great matchup. It really is. Basketball gods finally rewarding ethical basketball. OKC with great development and drafting, and Pacers with a great system and great coaching. Yeah. I mean, it really is kind of like the best team in the league, which is the Thunder, versus the team of destiny that's just like the hottest team. So there is a real combativeness in some ways. If we had said at the beginning of the season or at the end of the season it's the Thunder versus the Pacers in the finals, we might have projected that it would be like last year's finals, like almost a sweep with Dallas and Boston. There you say, well, that's obviously lopsided. Thunder is going to win that easily. But that's not the case. They're down 1-2 right now, and the Pacers are in control of the series. And that makes it exciting because in some ways the underdog is leading and the team that's supposed to be winning is behind. And that makes a lot of drama right there. So, and think about this. If the Pacers win tomorrow night and they're up 3-1, SGA is facing do or die games all in a row right there. And they would have to win 3 in a row to win the championship. So it's exciting, man. I'm not a hater to not want the Pacers to win their first NBA championship. I know Fiercey said earlier, I'm not going for anybody in the Eastern Conference unless it's Toronto. But in this case, this is family. This is Siakam. And this is also two of our great Canadians, Benedict Mathurin and Andrew Nebhart. So, and I love Rick Carlisle. And if he becomes a this is the other thing. Rick Carlisle will go into a category with Phil Jackson and Pat Riley if he wins a championship with the Pacers as a coach that's won a championship with more than one team. And there's only like 3 guys on that list already. And it's Phil Jackson, Pat Riley, and a coach from like way back in the day named Alex Hannum. So it's like, you know, you're going into a select company if you're Rick Carlisle, if you win this. Larry O'Brien behind me right here. That's right. That's right. Let's go. That's right. Evenly matched, good coaching. Pacers have that advantage. Yeah, Wayne, I hear you right there. That's right. That's right. Smooth saying better to have the old school Pacers 94, 95 jersey, man. I've seen some of those Pacers fans wearing those old jerseys. Yeah, I love it, man. I love seeing the old Pacers jerseys, like Reggie's jersey on people from 20 years ago and the fans. And there's so much history with that team. And in some ways, I love seeing a team that's languished and really had never gotten anywhere like this before. You know, they're leading in the finals. When they got there before, the Lakers kind of trounced them when Reggie and Mark Jackson and Rick Smits were there that time. And this time, you know, they're in control. So they got to revel in this. Enjoy this, Indiana Pacers Nation. Enjoy this, Indianapolis. Savor it. Seriously. This is a league of parity, and there's no guarantees y'all will be able to get to this top next year. Trust me. It's the way it's going these days is not like that. So really get this and go get it. Siakam ain't trying to do this to lose. No. He got to the finals before, and he was 1-0. He wants to be 2-0 in the finals, and he's coming to get it. Y'all follow him, you will get there. Trust me. You will get there, Pacers. You follow him. That's right. That's right. Let's keep going. Those were the best looking. The yellow is ugly. The yellow color doesn't bug me. In some ways, the yellow is like a goldenrod yellow, and I like that better than like more plain yellows. So I don't know. I'm not gonna hate on the yellows like you guys. Maybe it's partly because I was a WWF fan in the '80s for Hulk Hogan. I don't know. But hey, they're winning. That's right. Kaloy saying Obi Toppin's Finals MVP, laughing my ass off. I don't know about that. I think that he's contributed major, and he's been an X factor for sure. And I think some of it is just like his athleticism has been so handy with like defensively rebounding. And even some really huge threes he's made at different times too. But he's not been totally steady. In some ways, he's messed up too. I mean, he had a whole bunch of turnovers in that one game that were really ugly looking. So I don't know. I can't give him MVP. Of course, I'm going to say Siakam. Good morning to Superfan Mo is in the house. Good morning, Rapid Free crew. Big up to Mo. Exactly. I love it. Kaloy saying OKC players were gassed in the fourth. Yeah. And the Pacers were not. And that's balance. That's over the course of the whole season. These guys have been saving stuff in the tank for each other instead of just playing certain select few, overplaying them. Well, that's where you get to right there. That's where you get to. Stargate saying Andrew Nebhart is SGA. Is to SGA what Joe Dumars was to Jordan. Yeah, I could say that. That's actually a pretty interesting comparison. And I think it's kind of true because it's just like there's a kryptonite. And I think that out of all the teams in the league, the Pacers have the best antidote for SGA because of Andrew Nebhart. And it really is that he's not afraid of him. And he plays him like an equal instead of an inferior player to him. He doesn't play him like, I'm scared of you and I know you're way better than me and I should be scared of you. No, he plays him as he is equal. And SGA wouldn't have it any other way, I'm sure. Because I know he loves that battle with him and Andrew that's going on in the finals right now. It's really, really awesome, man. Monique is saying that Rasheer Fleming is not on her list for drafting. Yeah, he's a weird one. He's so weird, like in the drafts, the mock drafts. He's been as high as like 10th pick on drafts I've seen, but he's also been a second rounder in some of the mock drafts. So he's all over the place with how people are speculating where he should get drafted. And that's why I think he's right in the middle of our two picks. I don't think he's actually going to be feasible for us to pick because it's just not realistic for where our spots are to pick. So yeah, he's on my list as a wish list as the second round. If he drops all the way there, I'm like, yeah, you need to take him immediately if he's available at 39, which is not likely at all. Yeah. We covered this the other day. I broke this the other day. Malachi Flynn has signed a contract with the Turkey League and will be playing in Europe this year. He's given up on his dream in the G League with the Austin Spurs, and he has taken the money and going to Europe. And this is something I speculated he should do a couple years ago after fumbling the ball with the Raptors for so long. But yeah, Malachi is going to Turkey. It's officially signed, but I heard the rumors about this last week. And we kind of talked about it a little bit on the chat like last week for a moment, just for a second. It was kind of a note of news that Malachi's going to Turkey. Milbester's here. Good to see Knicks Freak. I told everyone this is going to be a good final series. You're right. You're right, Milbester. You were right. Stargate saying Covington is nowhere as athletic as Fleming. I've always thought of Covington as like a three-point shooter. And, I really do look at like Rasheer Fleming as kind of like I said, like a Rodney Rogers from back in the day, or maybe even a LaFonso Ellis, like somebody who just has a really big frame on his arms and his shoulders and long wingspan. And he's a jumper. He's a jumper. That's the thing. He has some bounce. And that's part of what's attractive to him. He's kind of like a Corey Maggette as far as he's like an athlete. He's an athletic NBA player. And that you got certain players that are athletes. They can be very attractive because the talent potential, if they do develop skill and more better offensive stuff, can be stuff like what happened with Siakam. So there's a lot of physical talent in Rasheer Fleming. He's an athlete, and I love that. I love that about him, man. Stargate saying Mike Dagnall is being outcoached, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yeah, they may have hit the ceiling with him as far as like, he's been a coach of the year in the past. He's been a fantastic coach for the Thunder, but he's getting to the point where like the young players on his team, he may have been in over his head against his competition. And that's what it looks like right now. That's what it looks like. Kaloy saying, yeah, Common. Hang on, it jumped ahead right there when I was just about to start that one. Yeah, Common will need a good development system too. Good point, Lex. Yeah, that's what I would be worried about. Certain teams you don't want to go to if you're a young player in the draft because they do not have good development track records. And Philadelphia is one of those teams that does not have a good development track record. Honestly, they have a couple wins with Maxey. You could kind of try and say that Embiid was a win, but think about all those other guys that they dropped the ball on, whether it's Ben Simmons, Markelle Fultz, Okafor. There's just a lot of draft picks in the last 15 years of the Sixers that have completely been fumbled. And if I was a young player going to, like, if they pick Ace Bailey, that may be perfect because he might be a bust and they'll fumble his development. Seriously, I could see that. Most saying, well done, Pacers. Hallie's shooting just too hot. Ben looked great from the highlights. Yeah, Ben Mathurin, the number one star of the game for me as far as things. I would say the second star for me is Pascal. And I'll give some shine to Halliburton for just missing the triple-double with one rebound shy of it. He did shoot 4 for 8 from 3, and that was very important and crucial. But honorable mentions also to TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin with some crucial dunks, blocks, and also some very important stuff. He was a plus 18. So yeah, there's like 5 stars: Benedict Mathurin, Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton, TJ McConnell, and Obi Toppin. Those are the top 5 stars for me from the Pacers for tonight, from last night. Stargate saying big up to Aaliyah Boston. Massive. Okay, is that a flag? I'm not even sure. But yeah, there's the Fever are doing really good, man. They're playing pretty good, even with Caitlin out, which is good. Stargate saying, cool, Trevor. I'm a track and field fan, so I'll check that out. Thanks. There you go. Monique saying, Lex, I'm not going to burn the tempo candle, keep it as is. Me too. Mine's just right up there in that black box right there. I'm not either. I'm going to keep it the way it is too, as a memento. So I'm with you on that. I'm totally with you on that, Mo. Yeah, we got tempo candles at her birthday party. Adriana is such a beautiful, amazing soul in person. I love Adriana so much. She's so sweet. She gave the candle to Monique right before we left and said, you want a candle too? And she went and bought her one. So yeah, another extra birthday present on top. Yeah, those WNBA candles are cool. Monique got the white one, I got the black one. And I'm not burning mine either. We'll make a pact right here, Monique. That we're not going to burn our candles. There you go. Stargate saying off the bench, Ben, Obi, TJ, Bryant, the kid with the old school mustache, Ben Shepherd. He looks like a pizza man, right? He's a pizza man with the pizza mustache. Like you go down the street to, let's say, Pizza Delight, a Canadian pizza brand out of New Brunswick that was founded in 1968. Maybe you go into Pizza Delight and you see a man like Ben Shepherd in the back tossing the dough in the air. Hey, come on in. I got the pizza in the oven for you. There you go. That's right. The straight goods on Canadian goods. Pizza Delight. They have a lot of employees, over 3,500 employees at Pizza Delight, and they are part of the group that is owned by Mike's. They own Mike's, and they are part of Baton Rouge Restaurants and Scores. So yeah, Pizza Delight is a Canadian company. If you want to go get pizza, they're out of Moncton, New Brunswick, and they've got locations in Ottawa, in Ontario, and Quebec, and all over different places around Canada. So go to Pizza Delight if you want to get pizza. Straight goods on Canadian goods. Support Canadian pizza, not Pizza Hut, not Domino's, not Little Caesars. None of that bullshit. Go to Canadian pizza companies like Pizza Delight. That's my delight. It's my Siakam delight. All right, let's see who we got on the call now, guys. Caller, you on the air? Oh my gosh, they hung up on me. Maybe that was a telemarketer, like I was saying. I could have done Jerky Boys. Damn it, they were scared. I was like, caller, you're on the air. They like hung up real quick. Oh my gosh, should I call a radio station? That was funny. That was funny. They heard me say caller on the air and they got off the air. That's so funny, man. All right, Trevor saying, did I miss the classic card again? No, you didn't. I haven't done it yet. So funny. Most saying W stream, W vibes. Thank you for the cutoff. I'll try and finish it 2.5 hours. All right, let's see. There's the phone's ringing again. Let's see if this is the caller once again. Caller, you're on the air. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. Not sure what you guys are talking about, but I figured I'd call in just to check in with you guys because I like being on the phone when I'm driving.
Okay, so who is this? I don't have caller ID, so you're going to have to identify yourself, sir. Is this Kareem? Is this is the butt dialer? Okay, I figured it out after a second. That's right. All right, Kareem Thomas.
I did not butt dial you, though. I actually did this perfectly.
On the first one, you butt dialed me.
Yeah, well, yes. My Bluetooth wasn't connected.
Oh, I got you.
So I
okay.
don't want to,
Yeah, be safe. That's most important, Kareem. But I'm feel so privileged to have our dunk champion, one of the funniest man alive, in my opinion. Mr. Kareem Thomas is on the chat. Are you on your way to Denny's, or where are you going right now?
I'm not going to Denny's. I'm actually going to Home Depot because I have to pick up 2 engine cycle oil for some of my machines that I have.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. So, Kareem, we're talking Rasheer Fleming today. We're talking the Pacers and Thunder game last night. We're talking anything you really want to talk about, man. The floor is open for you if you have any questions or comments you want to have.
To be honest, I'm not too sure about Rasheer Fleming. When it comes to like this whole draft stuff, I don't tend to I don't like doing so much scouting. I like to see like what we have and then scout after. But I do. But the thing is, I say that because I really want Malawatch. You know, so I think Malawatch will kind of just complete this whole circle.
It'd be perfect. It'd be awesome.
Exactly. In Discord, I actually placed. I just put up a picture and saying because right now the Pacers bench is being glorified, right?
Yeah.
Which rightfully so. They should be glorified. But I think that in 2 years from now, our bench could surpass that bench like unanimously. Like
for sure.
Such ease. So I do think what we have going on right now, I think it is very special. It's just that a lot of people just can't see it through, and I hate that.
They gotta be patient.
Yeah, and you know what? Like being patient in 2025 is like it's not going to happen.
It's tough.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like your graphic. I just went and looked at it on Discord. I see that you've got like the Pacers role players off the bench with McConnell and Toppin and those guys. And then you've got pictures of our guys that'll be like them off our bench, like Grady, Mobo, and Shed. And I totally get what you're saying. I think that once again, the signs of the success of the Pacers in the finals right now are very good signs for our own franchise and the way we're going about business, because we're a lot more like the Pacers than a lot of teams in the league right now. And if the secret to success is something like what they're doing, I agree with you. And like 2 years from now, let's see where our young core is as far as playing all for one for all, like the Pacers do, because that's the winning formula right now is what the Pacers are doing. And I think the Raptors are very much similar to them in certain ways. In fact, I would make the argument that much like the Pacers are not the more talented team in the finals right now, they're not the more talented team in the Eastern Conference Finals, we're a more talented team than the Pacers, even as our team is on the Raptors. And that is interesting, and that bodes well. So think about, we play the way the Pacers do, like with equity, a deep rotation, but we have more talent because we have people like Scotty, Brandon, Emmanuel, and RJ. That bodes really well for our future right there.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think, like, because what the Pacers have, it's not so much like points and rebounds and scoring. It's the quality of players.
Mm-hmm.
They have good role players.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like McConnell, like he almost, like, 5 steals and like, a couple of points. Like that's amazing. That helps so much, and it changed the game.
Yeah.
Crazy last night because of just his effort.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys on the Pacers right now, their bench is just effort. Like, other than Mathurin went off yesterday. We all know Mathurin could do that.
Yeah.
But other than Mathurin, everybody is such a role player, and they're so distinct with what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I just feel like when you factor in like Grady Dick and Mogbo and like Jameson Battle, like all the like Ochai, all these guys, they could contribute so much more than what the Pacers are doing right now. Yeah. And I just like it. To me, it's just like it's like we are in line with a championship team right now.
Yeah.
We just have to stay the course.
Yeah, and we have to get luck with health, and we have to be patient as a fan nation and understand that what we're cooking here in Toronto with the barbecue era is going to taste real good when it's ready to eat. And that's the thing. I think that we've got some very, very good, deep players on our team, and we just need to let them get more reps and more time health-wise on the court, especially with Ingram coming in. And people are going to be very, very pleasantly surprised. I mean, I love this call, Kareem. I think you're exactly on point that, the parallels between the Pacers and the Raptors are there if people choose to look at them.
Yeah, the Pacers, like I keep on saying, the Pacers never sold out. They stuck to their game plan from 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
They made small, minor adjustments. Yep. And I think they just kept them moving, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They stuck to the plan. They didn't make knee-jerk reactions. They made very solid moves like trading for Siakam. But really, if you think about it, that move was done not last season, but the season before. And they didn't really do any major moves after Siakam. They kind of just went with what they got, and they built off it for 1.5 years. And this is where they're at now. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of change and stuff, even though Raptors fans or certain people want a lot of change and trades and movement, it's not healthy for your team. You want less movement. The more you don't have to move means that you've done a good job in the first place, and you don't have to fix any mistakes you already made. So that's why I tell Raptors fans, if the Raptors ain't making off-season moves or moving stuff, that's because they do a good job, and they don't need to. So
exactly. They understand what they have, and they want to progress forward.
Yeah.
You can't just, like you were saying, you just can't keep on making knee-jerk reaction like the Knicks did.
Yeah.
Like the Knicks are in total disarray. Like they're gonna be done for the next 10 years.
I believe this. Yeah. I believe this too, that they really don't understand what it takes to coach their team. It's got to take a special person. And Thibodeau was one of the very few people that was a special person that could get success out of that team. I totally agree with you on this. Kareem, is there anything else you want to add real quick? on the air?
Yeah, in regards to Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
A lot, because I know they call like first of all, it's just it was just bullshit. I don't think Giannis is trying to move anywhere.
No, he's not.
Personally, I do think Giannis is waiting for this year to show what kind of shit show Milwaukee is, and then he'll ask for a trade.
Right.
So because they made the playoffs and whatever, but I think this year he's gonna show everybody like what kind of shit show Milwaukee is in right now, and then he will request a trade.
Right.
But in regards to trading and Giannis and Scotty Barnes or whatever, I would never touch Scotty Barnes.
Yeah.
Scotty Barnes is off the table for me. Scotty Barnes has a bigger bag than anybody can even think of, but he is just trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
Like, you have to remember, like, his rookie year, he was leading top 3 in all major categories for his rookie of the year campaign, right?
Yeah.
And he was being compared to Magic Johnson. You know, and that tells me a lot. I know Magic Johnson. I watched him play. That tells me a lot. Not only that Magic Johnson he was being compared to, is also being compared to Giannis himself.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say that.
If you combine those two players, and like what do you have in Scotty Barnes?
Yeah.
People just need to give Scotty just another year or two.
Yeah.
Because people are saying, it's his 5th year or whatever. No, it doesn't matter if it's his 5th year. He has so much more of a bigger bag. He has to figure stuff out more. It's not Kate Cunningham. He's not Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley, we don't know Evan Mobley. He's just a tall guy. He just wants to shot block and play defense.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a real bag.
His build is easy to understand. Yeah.
Exactly. Kate Cunningham, he's a point guard. He does point guard things.
Yeah.
But he has to factor in, Scotty Barnes does all of it.
Yeah.
Right? And he needs to figure all of it out. But with the system and stuff like that. So it's going to take him a little bit longer to get seasoned. But I'm telling you, man,
it's going to be worth it.
7 and 8.
Yep.
Years 6, 7, and 8 for Scotty Barnes. He's going to be prime time. And to be honest, with the addition of Brandon Ingram, we might see some craziness from Scotty Barnes this year. Yeah,
I think you're right. I think, listen, and not that these players are anywhere like each other, but we got to think about a GOAT like Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry, for the first few years in his career, he was not a good player in the NBA. He was nothing like what he is now. He was not going to be anywhere near a Hall of Famer. He was a bench player that barely played, and he had attitude problems. But what was it? It was like his 7th year that he had a turnaround in his career, and he just blew up, and he's done what he's done since. So it's like people got to understand this is not microwave culture. And in some ways, Scotty is exactly what Kareem just said. He's a very unique player that in some ways he's got to go on his own schedule. And some of his development and his progress is not going to be apparent to casual fans who only care about points per game. And that is where these people need to stop just looking at that. Because listen, it's not about points per game with the Pacers, is it? No, it's not. It's about team building, playing as a team, and winning basketball. And that is what it's about with Scotty too. So really the best gauge for Scott is not his points per game. It may be the win total for the Raptors team. And that is what we need to start looking at when we're gauging whether Scotty's successful or not as a player, is what are the Raptors win total right now? And that's what I want to see. And I think you're right. With Brandon coming in, it's going to be a bolster. And they're going to have way better winning season this season coming up, be a playoff team. Kareem, man.
Absolutely.
I'm so happy you called in, man. I still got your book right here, my guy. This is yours, man. This is your We the North book for being a dunk champion. I will get it to you someday.
I know. No, you know what? Just on schedule like those, we're just on different schedules right now.
It's all good.
I'm going to meet up with you guys and we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out for sure. Yeah, man.
One last thing.
Sure.
Say I love you to somebody today. Smile today. Help somebody today.
There you go, man. What a great words of wisdom from Kareem, our full butt dialer. And man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, Kareem. Right. And I'll drive safe, my guy. And hope that your day goes really well this Thursday, man. And I appreciate you calling in.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Love you guys. Love Raptors Freak Nation. Go Raptors.
Let's go Raptors. Yeah. Woo! Ah! That's awesome, man. All right. We've gotten a lot of calls today, man. I feel really awesome getting so many calls today. You guys have been on point today. So many good calls today. So many good calls. All right. We should probably keep going and get closer to the end of the stream real quick here. Let's see. Fiercely saying if Pacers win, they'll give the finals MVP to Hallie as a Band-Aid. In some ways, I won't be upset about that. But it really does depend who steps up and wins it in the end, Marie, because it could end up being Siakam is really overwhelmingly important in a final game that they clinch and win it. And then it'll be like, well, why would you give it to Halliburton? If it seems like it's forced or not exactly right, they won't do it that way. And good evidence of this is Jaylen Brown last year with the Celtics. Even though the media machine may overhype Jason Tatum over Jaylen Brown, who won that MVP by the voters because they felt like he deserved it more. And that's what I'll say. In some ways, the voters are not the media, even though they are sometimes. Sometimes they will go against the media perception of the media machine, just like in the Eastern Conference Finals, giving Siakam the MVP there. So it really is going to be who's going to step up. Sure. Could Obi Toppin be the MVP of the finals? Well, if he has a huge monster game that clinches them the championship in the last game, yeah. Just like Andre Iguodala was a finals MVP, which was totally ridiculous to me, honestly, because in some ways he's a bit player on the Warriors, but he was a finals MVP amidst all those guys on Golden State because he had heroics in the finals. And that's the only way somebody like Toppin gets it. Is if he has huge heroics like that. I think that the odds are that Halliburton will get it if the Pacers win. But if not, Siakam's the second close favorite. That's for sure. That's for sure right there. Yeah. Trevor saying Stargate will be on all weekend, the track and field. There you go. Happy birthday to Grandma. Yeah, 103. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. All right, let's see. Keeping on going in the chat. Flynn might not make it in Europe, man. Very competitive there. We'll have to see. Who knows? If Jordan Lloyd can make it there, I'll bet you Malachi can too. It just depends on whether he's selfish and he doesn't add any assists to his players. It may not matter. You think China or Taiwan's where he should have gone? Turkey is a very tough place to play. In fact, the EuroLeague champion comes from Turkey currently, and that is with Kem Birch. And that shows that area is tough to play. Who knows? Maybe Malachi should go play with Kem. They were teammates at one point, right? So maybe Kem Birch could be helping him out over there. Stargate saying Fleming is kind of like Larry Nance Jr. when he came out of college, or maybe Stromile Swift. See, I look at him as a shorter, big man. Those guys are kind of long, right? Those guys are longer kind of players, especially Swift. Swift was really almost a 7-footer. Larry Nance, I don't know. I see Larry Nance Jr. and Carter Bryant more is where I see Larry Nance Jr. Rasheer Fleming, to me, once again, I'll say it, he's like a Rodney Rogers. He's kind of like one of these dudes that comes in with like a lot of muscle. He's like going to throw people around. Yeah. He's driving. That's right. It's Kareem driving around. Fiercely thought it was Kaz too. Yeah. Let's see. Wayne saying, interesting to hear others praising themselves about these two teams in the finals. I can confidently say we're the only non-Pacer, non-OKC fan base advocating the likelihood of these teams in NBA finals. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't mean to brag, but my ideal finals before the season even started, because I knew the Raptors were not ideally probably going to get in the finals this year, was Pacers versus Thunder. And I'm so overjoyed. It is exactly what I thought in the preseason, that my favorite finals this year would be Pacers versus Thunder. And it came to that fruition. And in some ways, it's partly because I respected those teams as ethical teams at the beginning of the year. And, well, ethical basketball won out this year. And thank you, Adam Silver, for allowing an environment for this to happen, is what I'm saying. Yeah, Stargate saying health. And that's the biggest Raptors need right there. Yeah. If we don't get the big man, even if we don't get exactly what we thought in the draft, the most crucial thing for the Raptors this season is health. That is exactly right. And being out there at the same time. Fiercely saying, Stargate, agreed at Kareem. We are building something special with our bench, and I'm so excited to see how it will pan out in a few years. Our starters are solid, nothing to be worried about. And these young guys got the right heads on their shoulders. And in fact, I meant to say this earlier, talking about the draft and who the Raptors may take at 9 and 39 this year. Well, the evidence is they may take a player like Rasheer Fleming because he's a junior. He's a longer standing player in college, like Jamal Shed, like Jamison Battle, and we've been gravitating towards 4-year or 3-year players in college already. So it's less likely we'll take one and done like Cooper Flagg, anybody like him, or a 2 and done. We are actually looking for 4-year college players and 3-year college players, because that in some ways the Raptors found a lot of success in their rookie class last year from going for those kind of targets. So I think that that's something right there. Stargate saying the U.S. basketball media knows that we're cooking something up here. They know it. That's why they're reporting this way. They are not about our team. They gaslight rumors about trades and draft picks. Well, they try and blow it up before it happens because they've seen good success with teams that are sensitive to these kind of things, overreacting and doing dumb things like the Knicks would. And in some ways, that's why I love our front office so much, because they're very confident men and they know what they're doing and they don't take this bait. And in some ways, that's been frustrating to Raptors fans in the past is that y'all been gaslighted by the media to think that Masai and Bobby need to do things. And that's when y'all got to bend out of shape about them and complain. Well, y'all were the fools and the dupes and the whole thing. And Bobby and Masai were sailing the ship through choppy waters and distraction without losing focus. And that is the thing I love about our front office and why we should value them, because there's a lot of noise out there. And other front offices would listen to it and maybe make decisions based on it, but not Bobby and Masai. They trust who they are and their aptitude and what they see, and they're going to go by that. And that is why we have Scotty Barnes on our team. Honestly, right there. That is it right there. Yeah, let's see. Stability, thinking things through and making the right moves at the right time equals the recipe for success. And thank God we have a capable front office that is dependable, trusted, and has a track record of success. In some ways, that just like the coach job in New York, it's tough to get a front office sometimes that you can trust. And Raptors fans, you need to value this when it comes to Ujiri and Webster. You really, really do. You really, really do. Stargate saying it scares them beyond belief. Yeah, the future's coming. And this is the thing. If this league's going to be about parity and everybody's got an equal shot like Adam Silver's doing, and y'all aren't going to manipulate things, you're going to let the best show that they're the best. Well, the best front office will show that the Raptors are the best once again. And that's what I truly believe right there. There's Scotty on blast by Fiercely. I love it. 1,000%, Kareem. Scotty is such a unique player that can do so many things. And the team and Scotty is figuring out how to dominate. That's right. They're going to figure it out more and more this year starting, right? More and more, even more so. Just like how the Pacers got Pascal with a few picks and the fringe rotation players, that's what we'll see if we see a trade. I don't think any of the core is going anywhere. The great thing is we do have like extra players. And if we do need to make a trade, we have assets that are attractive to the rest of the league. But this is what I'll say, kind of going back to what somebody just said about Giannis. They're saying that they think that it's going to be a shit show this year in Milwaukee. And it's going to show that Giannis will have more of a case for wanting to get the hell out of there. That was Kareem on the phone. And in some ways, I'll piggyback on this right now. What if that is a shit show in Milwaukee, Kyle Kuzma, and they get to halfway point of the season? And God forbid, the Raptors have some issues with Brandon Ingram fitting with our team. Would there be enough desperation to flip each other for each other at halfway point of the season instead? And the Giannis sweepstakes end up happening at the trade deadline, not in the offseason now. That's what I'm saying. It could go really south for Milwaukee, and he gets a malcontent, just like Jimmy Butler in Miami last year. And then all of a sudden, Masai is the opportunist at the trade deadline, because maybe, unfortunately, hopefully not, this is not the case. We just have a smooth sailing right into the season and health the whole year, and we're just badasses, and we don't need to make a trade at the trade deadline. But if there is some sort of point where it does seem like our team is not doing as well as it should by the All-Star break or so, then maybe we pull the trigger on getting Giannis then, because we can do it then. And like I said, Scotty's off the table. We're not talking about trading him for them. We will trade you Brandon and some of our other young players, and maybe our first round pick for next year for Giannis then at the trade deadline, guys. That I can see that being more realistic than any movement of the Greek Freak this summer. And it may not be the Raptors that are capitalizing on that mid-season kind of stuff with Giannis. It may not be us because we're going really well and we don't need to. And some other team does get him out of there because of this. I can see this happening. But Milwaukee, your biggest problem is your front office sucks. And y'all might lose Antetokounmpo just because y'all have been making missteps with your front office for the last few years since your championship. So that's the way I look at it right there. Right there. Let's see. Let's see. Stargate saying the U.S. basketball pundits want Scotty on a U.S.-based team, and the Canadian sports media want him out of Toronto because they know he is a huge threat to hockey popularity among the kids. Yeah. I mean, I won't disagree with some of that. There is some gaslighting from our own media here about the Raptors and maybe them not being so supremely kind of popular in certain ways. People are sick of the Leafs losing. The Blue Jays have their issues. And the Raptors are fun to root for. And they're actually got like a fan base that's actually fun to be in to a certain extent. And in some ways, they hate this on the download. There are people out there that are like this for sure. Reggie saying Barnes just needs to be in the low post, man. That's where he can really be a difference maker. The point forward stuff is nice, but if you really want to bring out the best in Scotty, it's in the low post. I'll completely agree with him. I would love to see Scotty work in the low post way more in this season coming up. I feel like that is just food to be eaten. That's on the table. That's really easy to go get. So go on then, Scott, and let's go be a low post threat down there because it'll really open up things for the whole entire team. Yeah, Stargate saying, I know I'm too outspoken, but I can only tell it as I see it. You know what? I don't see anything different than what you're saying in some ways. Rodney Rogers was more of a brute at Wake Forest, though, like Charles Smith at Pitt. They weren't as athletic as Fleming coming out of college. I'm going to disagree, man. You don't remember Rodney Rogers and how he used to be able to jump? Oh, my gosh. Like, I guess LaFonso Ellis may be the better comparison. Those two guys around that Denver time with Dikembe, they were huge muscular guys that got up there with bounce is what I'm talking about. That's kind of what I see in him. A huge muscular guy that's got bounce. Think maybe Scoot Henderson with more inches. It's kind of stuff like that, That's that kind of stuff. Smooth saying, according to Shams, Giannis' situation will not be clarified until the opening of free agent period. If he is going to request a trade, it will be then. Yeah, I thought we killed this, Reggie. Come on now. The Giannis stuff is all over. Windhurst has closed it down. Shams, why do you keep doing this? Stop opening the door on this. He's waiting to see how or if the Bucks can improve their team. Well, we'll have to see. Either way, I hate overemphasizing and looking at Giannis so much. Who cares? I want to die. I want to just kill this Giannis trade talk and talking about Giannis in general for a while. Can we just stop talking about Giannis? Seriously. Please. G saying, whoa, I just read on the score that Halliburton has 0 free throw attempts in the NBA Finals. Is this true? I think it might be, yeah. And the thing is, I'm going to say this. They're not giving him the ball as much right now. In some ways, they weren't giving Pascal the ball in earlier rounds, but they're not giving Halliburton the ball in certain ways right now. And the other thing is he's not being aggressive to drive at all. He's not trying to get in the paint. So that's part of the reason why he's not getting any foul calls is because he's not really trying to get them. So, yeah, I believe this stat's true. I do. Most saying, do you believe in Adam Silver? And when he said there may be a second team in Canada, that's awesome. Yeah, they're talking expansion more now that TV deals are done. And they're going to talk about expansion. And, well, Adam Silver let it be known that there may be room in Canada for a second NBA team. And that's great for Montreal. I'm going to say that right now, that if they are going to come up here, they will go to Montreal. Watch. I'm telling you. Now, there is something that Adam Silver said before the game that's very interesting that I want to go over right now. It's about the global versus USA format for All-Star. Now, he said this. This is very interesting. This is straight from Adam Silver's mouth. The NBA has 30% international players. 70% of them are U.S. And in some ways, he sees it as this. It's not fair to split two teams for the All-Star game between 70% and 30%. So what he said was there will be global stars, not the world, against USA. And what I think he means is they're going to do special status for some of the American players to be on the global stars team, much like Donovan Mitchell played for Chuck's international team in the All-Star break recently, last year. That Donovan Mitchell is born in New York City, but he has roots to Jamaica. And they capitalize on those roots to say this is why he belongs on a team with Siakam and Wemby, is because he's got roots from this. So this makes sense. In some ways, Adam Silver doesn't think it's fair for either side to have 30% get half the All-Stars or 70% get half the All-Stars. So he's going to find some sort of formula, and he hasn't totally worked it out. And as he put it, it's not going to be world versus USA. It'll be global stars versus USA. And I think that means he's going to pick guys that are actually American that have global ties like Donovan Mitchell to be part of the international team also. So it's interesting he said that, and he wanted to clarify it to a degree. He also said is part of the reason why he wanted to do this format is because the All-Star break next year will be going on during the Winter Olympics, and there will be a lot of global, international kind of sports stuff going on. So to kind of coincide with that activity going on at the same time, they wanted to do Global Stars versus USA, and that's why they're doing it this way. So that it's interesting. Stargate saying, I have said it multiple times. Scotty has the potential to be a league-changing player, just like how Steph did. Every team is about the three-point shot and three-point shooters. Scotty can bring it back down the low post if he really wants to do that. Scotty, you want to bring it back a little bit, even though your icon, one of your heroes is Steph Curry. You want to bring the ball from the three-point line back to close to the basket because you're just so overpowering down there. You could do it, my guy. You could have that kind of impact on this league. Once again, bring it back down to the low post. All right, let's do the classic card. We've got all kinds of stuff still. I got to do a couple different segments still on the channel. But we'll do the classic card right here. Oh, here we go. This is great. First card, classic card here. Full name answer, please. This is the classic card for today. If you can get it for me, please let me know. Talking about the Bucks and Giannis. Here we go. There's a guard for the Bucks. Who knows who this classic card is? It's kind of a weird picture of him. It may be hard to see who it is, but whoever gets the full name answer will get the classic card points for today. If you can see who that is. Should I bring it in closer? I know it's kind of hard to see who that is. It doesn't really look like him in this picture. So who do you guys think? We can get some guesses. Make sure you're live. Yeah, Slug knows. It's an original Raptor. Guy who scored the very first points in Raptor history is Alvin Robertson. Once again, is the classic card. He's been the classic card before. There he is before his Raptors career. San Antonio and Milwaukee was the teams he played for before he came to Toronto and was an inaugural Toronto Raptor with Damon Stoudemire. So, yeah, Alvin Robertson, classic card of the day. Slug Deezy is on it. Got it just before Smooth right there. Yeah, let me see. Where's it? Thank you, Mo. I try to be as informative as possible, and you are a part of that information gathering and helping us out here. So, yeah, Alvin Robertson, boom, goes the dynamite. It's going to be Slug Deezy back on the classic card today, and he'll get 100. We'll go again. 100's the standard right now for the classic card. Of course, the regular season of the Raptor Freak Trivia is coming to a close very soon. And, well, we're going to be crowning the new champion soon. That's right. So hang in there. All right, let me see. Let me go do a couple more of my tabs. We were going over Pizza Delight already. That's our straight goods on Canadian goods. We did the Instagram stories. Raptors Reddit reactions. They're talking all about Benedict Mathurin on there. They're very proud of what he did last night. They're talking. There's the post about Adam Silver saying maybe there's more we can do in Canada. That'll be interesting. I think Montreal is the first on the list as far as Canadian cities that could get a franchise next. Let's see. Pascal Siakam now has the 5th most 20-point playoff games in Pacers franchise history. This man's been a Pacer for less than 2 years, and he is just rocketing up all kinds of stuff with that franchise. And I love it, man. I love it. You know what, Reggie? Respect Pascal. If you have to vote for the MVP again in the finals, you better get the vote right this time. So respect Siakam, Reggie Miller. That's right. Respect him, especially because he's going to bring your beloved franchise a championship. Somebody here is saying, does anyone else miss Woj? You know who tweeted that is Giannis. Giannis saying, does anybody else miss Woj yesterday? At 3 o'clock, he tweeted that. Maybe it's because he's sick of all the rumors about himself, and he knows Woj would be the one there. Yeah, it's kind of funny you said that. Somebody on Raptors Reddit wants us to bring back the camo jerseys. Shut the hell up, man. There are some idiots on Raptors Reddit. They're putting on blast Nab Bhatia for being at the game last night for repping Canada. I love it. Nav, you're awesome, man. Of course he wants to go to a basketball game. There's your Raptors Reddit reactions right there. Let's see. Is there anything worthwhile on Blue Skies? Probably not. Probably not. Let's see. Birthdays. We do have a couple birthdays today. Other than my grandmother who turned 103 today. We have to say a happy birthday to Kevin O'Banner of the Raptors 905 the last few seasons. Happy birthday, Kevin. And I wish you all the best to the Texas Tech player, Kevin O'Banner. And also, happy birthday to former assistant coach of the Raptors, Earl Watson. It is Earl Watson's birthday today. He is 46 today, guys. So happy 46th birthday, Earl Watson, who's actually coaching. I believe he's either coaching college or high school at this point. So, yeah, those are the birthdays today. And that's pretty much it for the stream, guys. I'm going to wrap it up right at 2:45, right around there. Smooth saying, Brooklyn Nets willing to take on Paul George's contract to move up in the draft. That's funny. That's funny. All right. On that note, I appreciate everybody calling in to the Thursday Think Tank call-in show. So many good calls today. We had like 5 calls between Kareem, Neil, Stargate. If I forget everybody who called, man, there was so many of y'all that called today. It was awesome. And I appreciate y'all calling today. So we'll be back tomorrow for the Friday Freakout. And Rasheer Fleming, he's a very good athletic talent. He's a project. He's going to need polish on offense. On defense, he looks good already. But I just see him as kind of like Maxime Renault. He's in that middle part of the first round into the late round. And we're just not picking anywhere near there. But if Rasheer Fleming ended up being a Raptor somehow, some way for next season, I would be very happy about it. Don't get it twisted, because I know he's got an amazing shot blocking ability for his size. All right, y'all. I appreciate everybody watching the Thursday Think Tank. This show is nothing without you guys in the two-way street that we do it. Check out the To The Point Raptor Freak collaboration reaction video to the finals game 3 last night. It's a blast. It's really funny, man. Yeah, I'm still here, but I'm gone right now, Seymour, and I'm out. Let's go, Raptors!